meeting. Today is Wednesday, the 28th. The time is 4:01 p.m. We're conducting it in person in room 202 at College of Natural and Applied Sciences. Are we on?
We're on live.
We're on live also.
Let me just record.
Okay, Yvonne, can you do the roll call? Or do you have that? Or here?
Can I just follow?
Yeah, you can, it's right there.
Oh, okay. So Director Michael Uggan,
Present.
Director Martha Tenorio,
Present.
Director Glenn Takai,
Present.
Director Yvonne Waneza, present. Director Glenn Dula,
Present.
and
Okay. Erica.
And the
We have quorum.
Yeah,
yes, we have.
we do have a quorum. As a matter of fact, it's a complete board. So I really appreciate that. And then also we have our executive director, Erica Pangilinan here for the first time in 4 months in
Present.
person. And we welcome her back. We miss her. So we'll go to item number 2, which is the approval of the meeting agenda. So we need someone to make that motion there.
I move to add the board correspondence before public comment to the
Yes.
agenda.
I
Okay,
second the motion.
okay. All in favor of that? Any discussion on it? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We'll add that. And then, so can we make a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the meeting agenda.
I second.
Thank you. No further inputs, right? So all in favor, say aye, approve of the meeting agenda.
Aye.
Thank you again, and then move on to the meeting minutes. We have 2 different board meetings that we haven't approved, so the October 14, 2022. And the November 30, 2022. Inquire the status of the meeting minutes. So yeah, has those, Martha, you guys been able to put that together?
I need to get some of the notes from Leah because I didn't get the final one, but I do have my notes and I would consolidate it with hers and I would. I
Put it together.
yeah, that we can table the approval of the minutes until the next board meeting and I will make sure that these 2 are available. at
Both
that-
both.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we vote on that.
Yes, and just for the record, Mr. Chair, if I may, I know that initially the October 14th meeting was rescheduled to the.
Oh,
October
yeah,
8th
that's right.
Meeting, so just a.
So we have to
quick,
correct that also.
change
Yes,
for the record.
Minutes. Okay. So all in favor to table that till the next meeting? Say aye.
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 Thank you. Okay, number 4, district administrator report.
Hey, bonus and half a day. I'll keep it short and sweet. So there's a couple of things going on with our finances. For one, I was unable to collect the balance of the checking and savings, but I'll make sure that I go in tomorrow to Close 360 to gather that information, as well as get an update of the status of our current signatories. I know in the beginning, especially with the change of the directors, there was some obstacles, so I'm not sure.
Yes,
Chair.
the last time I went there, that's how I was able to request for temporary checks.
Mhm.
So the new signatories are now official, the minutes that made that motion to change to the current board.
Provided.
Yes, were provided and now we are all approved as signatories, all 5 of us.
Okay,
Okay, great.
And of course, with you and, well, I have to change now, Leah, right, to take her name off, but you have the,
I'm still on.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
Yes, I'll definitely go in there and as soon as I can get the balance of the checking and savings.
so we do it. Leah was part of it.
Yes, her name was on that list.
Yeah, so we'll have that. to
So,
remove that.
okay, so.
So I'll prepare
You
a
can-
correspondence.
Okay,
to
perfect.
ensure.
Yeah.
Okay, and then for
If you
the,
want, Erica, if you get that done, let me know. I'll sign it. And then,
Yes.
so if you go there tomorrow,
okay,
you just do it right there.
yes, and I believe there'll need to be 2 signatories on that correspondence.
Oh, okay.
So
So
you
I'll-
can find me also.
yes.
I can reach
Yeah,
you.
same here, I'm off too, so I mean, they can just call me.
Nice. Okay. I love this time of the year. Okay, and the next thing is, so on during the latter part of the term, the board did kind of try to see if we can outsource a third party or just outsource in general payroll, accounting, bookkeeping, auditing services. So I'd like to ask the board if this is something we'd like to revisit. Just because it hasn't been done. I know that for a long time, we've also been trying to see if the university could assist us, but when we did meet with the chief of the finance office, he did inform us that right now is not a good time for them to kind of help us out because they're updating their system as well. So he did recommend that maybe the best way to go is to kind of outsource these services. So I recommend that we revisit this and, see if we can.
We'll vote to continue that effort or just.
Yeah, if the board so pleases, that's something that I can revisit. We do
Or
have,
that's something we just approved through this budget review?
yes, that's,
Okay.
I mean, it is budget. I know, the last time I did meet with the vendor and it was about like 9,000. But it's to offer training. It was also to do an audit of our past 3 years of our spending and kind of just to set up our accounting system. So that way the board can have
Yeah.
a
So
way
we
to
wanted to kind of even jump the gun, so to speak, and have someone do an audit on us. And that's called an internal audit, right?
yes, internal audit.
Yeah, just so that we are showing that we're keeping our
We're proactive.
finance and everything in order, right? So we're being proactive like that, so that in case the public auditor decides to come and look at us, we can actually show that, and he'll know that we're, doing our best to keep this thing above board as we move forward. So that's a big part of it. We've been trying to get a audit thing going for quite a while, actually.
In the law, doesn't it say that the university is responsible for us?
I'll have to revisit the exact verbiage.
Or they're just our oversight?
They're pretty much our oversight. They could provide technical assistance in that regard, and which we tried to do and get their assistance. But it was, we can either revisit the University of Guam, since that's been kind of a while since we've had that conversation, or we can just do it ourselves.
When they said it wasn't a good time, why wasn't it a good time? And
It's
has the times changed?
Yeah, I know at the time it's because their business office they were updating their system. So it wasn't something that they were wanting and willing to
They
take
didn't want to take it on, right?
at that
Yeah.
time. But they encouraged us like later on to kind of come back and check. So
Okay.
we could do that. We can first check with the university if now is a better time for them to take us on. And it's also to handle our payroll as well.
What would they be taking some sort of administrative fee? Yeah.
I know in the past before they did charge a fee. And then I know the districts clap back. It's like, you should be charging us a fee. So that's how the district started just taking over its own funding, because I know before all the travel would go through them, any of our expenses and purchases would go through the university, which is why they were taking a certain fee.
Yeah,
But
because right now we're more autonomous in that regard, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know.
from that point, that's when we created the Coast 360 account, and the
Yeah.
board is just responsible for handling its expenses. But then it's like, wow, we really need that service.
Yeah, so you're doing okay.
Yeah, I've been doing it.
Yeah.
And really because it's been very minimal. Our expenses are, it's not as yes, but now that we're moving up and getting in more monies, it may
Yeah.
be beneficial to.
It's good to have an outside,
And then that would alleviate some of my tasks
Yeah.
so that I can focus more on projects.
So and putting the money in there.
Yeah, I'll just focus on getting.
We have funds for that, right?
Yes, in the budget, there is some, for contractual services that we budgeted, which is about 8,000. And we can explore that. So, I'll leave it up to the board to kind of decide what action we want to take, whether just let's revisit the university or, and then see what they say. Or then, and then depending on what that
What that outcome
conversation,
is, we'll just keep going.
We'll do an
with our own private thing, right? Like, you know,
Mhm.
okay.
But that makes sense to start first with the university because we wouldn't have to pay for that service, right? Once we outsource it, then we'll have to pay that individual.
yes, and then I think the most another key aspect to this is the internal audit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Seeing how we're doing.
And with the outsourced, whether that's an entity, a person or a business, whatever we do, have we checked more than just that one, or is it that good? You gave a figure like 9,000, right? We've got like
Yes.
maybe
We did do 3 quotes.
I know
We
that's
sent it out. Only one was response,
Oh, got it.
where we've received a positive, quote. So that's something that we'll just need to also
Okay.
do again.
So maybe as we check the EOG, depending on what their answer would be, and kind of follow up on the other two and see if there's.
But UOG can do an audit on us too. They have that.
That's something that we'll also have to inquire.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of people power they'll need. I almost said manpower, people power. But you know, maybe that's something we can also include in the budget instead of having to pay them a fee.
Yeah.
Just kind of like how our COG that setup is.
Why,
You can ask them to.
I like that.
Yeah.
that Private outside auditor thing because it's out of the government looking in and making sure, right? Compared to, I don't know, you know, we have a new AG and he's really a tough guy on especially government things, right? So we want to always be shining on what we're doing, you know, so that we don't have to worry about him. And however way we do it, I just want us to do something like that because we've been talking about it, right? And it just shows our proactive, being aggressive and being straight up with our meetings, right?
It'd be easier if it were EOG because it's a government agency and they already know the rules and regulations. As opposed to like a private industry person, they wouldn't know the GovCom procurement laws necessarily.
No, I don't know about that, because those guys.
Yeah, it depends, right? It depends on who their clients are, but you're
Yeah.
correct.
Because even the public auditor, all the audits are done by private sector.
Yeah.
They don't do it themselves. All their audits are done by private sector, right? You probably heard, I don't know, but that's how they do it. They
That
don't
is
have the
true.
people to do that.
The vendor that submitted a quote, they're very much
Into-
familiar
Yeah.
with Guam. But yeah. So those are our options. We'll see what the university says if they're willing to take us on, and then we'll go from there. Great discussion.
And it depends what they want to do,
Yeah,
right? And how much they want to take from us.
I'm sure there will be a few. Because things are tight.
Maybe we could talk to Barbara about that first. What do you think? Maybe
I think so. I mean, he is our
he's our
advisor.
advisor. Okay,
Well,
I'll do that.
okay, so that, moving on, so our grants and agreements, we have a couple active grants. We have the NACD Technical Assistance Grant. That's where part of my time is provided to the USDA NRCS office, and I provide program support assistance to Jay. That one, because I've left off island, so I'm taking a break on that. It's still active. We have about 1 more month to draw down on that current grant, and then we also have another round of funding to keep that position or that role going until the next fiscal year. So we're good with NACD. They are informed of the status of our district, but if we can hire possibly to get another program support going,
Somebody else other than you being a part of that, right?
that way activities still going and mission efforts are still in place, because I know Jay does need a lot of help right now. I know it's just him still in that office. I did hear that they are looking at hiring a district conservationist, and I'm not sure if it's Jay or if it's somebody else that they're looking to man that.
So who was that guy that was visiting? I forgot his name.
Uh,
He was here, but he was
Yeah.
only on a, like a
and if
2
I
or 3
my
week
old
stint.
phone, I would tell you his name, because I have his contact number on that. But yeah, there's someone from the.
He was
States
from
that's with-
Hawaii or,
Yeah,
right?
Hawaii.
Hawaii,
For about like 2 or 3 months he's here.
sometime, yeah, I'm not sure, but it wasn't gonna be like permanent, so. He came to help, so that shows that Jay needs help.
He really needs help.
So we need to get somebody to go in
fill.
there and cover that, because we were trying to get Leah, right, to get in
She was
there.
gonna-
So that's not working already, so. You gotta find somebody else to.
Yes, so what I'll do is I'll pull up the job announcement that we submitted previously for this specific position, and we can announce it. But I'll definitely send it to all the board to ensure that the position description is still in line with our requirements, and of course the requirements of the grant. And then we'll announce it, and we'll hopefully go to hire soon while staff
Okay.
is doing other things.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions on that before I move on? That grant's about 36,000 per year. So we do again have another year of funding for that. The Southern District was awarded.
Okay,
Okay, so I'll move on to the NRCS Guam Long Range Plan. This grant has been with us since, I believe, 2020, and because of COVID and whatnot, it's kind of delayed our deliverables, but we're still on top of what needs to be done. I think the last few deliverables is basically presenting the final long range plan to our stakeholders and getting any further input. Really, it's hosting another local working group meeting to set the priorities for USDA and NRCS and what priority resource concerns Guam wants to prioritize, so that way NRCS can grow from that way. I know that we've agreed that soil quality limitations is a big priority resource for Guam, and they've created a big funding pool for those agricultural producers who are addressing soil quality. We were able to meet the 2022 goal of farmers participating and getting funding from NRCS within their conservation plan, so that's good. But we need to revisit it and just submit the long range plan to NRCS and close out that grant. We've also were able to renew our DUNS and SAMs, so we're good with that. That was part of the requirements of the grant to ensure that our
yeah,
DUNS and SAMs are in order.
You mean UEI?
DUNS
is no longer, I think it's UEI.
It's UEI,
Unique
unique
employee
employee.
identifier.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll need to look into it.
I'll send you the information, but I think it.
I know DUNS is
changed.
obsolete too, because
Yeah.
NRCS doesn't require that from
Yeah.
the producers anymore. But our SAMs account is
Yes.
good to go. And just for the record, our DUNS, our SAMs, usually expires around November, December time. We can get federal grant monies. If,
well, we're good, right?
yeah, we're good. Okay, any questions on that?
So when is the strategic plan due?
We have a new expiration date of April 2023. So between that time and
We should
hopefully
host a meeting.
we should host a local working group meeting. Okay, so moving on, and just disregard that one 2023, that was for the previous NACD TA grant. So the NACD REPI grant, I don't know if you've seen the attachment that was shared via email.
Yeah.
But Jeremy Peters, the CEO of NACD, he did sign off on that funding for 250,000. They did acknowledge that our COG will take that on. So we're just waiting for their disbursement and we'll get that project going. Thank you, directors, for kind of helping and being a part of that discussion on the deliverables and seeing if it was realistic or not. But a lot of the funding is really just going into contractual services. So we'll reconvene that committee. Dr. Dilla, I know that in order to go through our COG, we have to have a faculty member. Are you still willing to be that faculty member?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Also, Bob could do it. I think.
Okay.
Well, unless it has to be a board member. But you know,
It'll be
that's
good to have someone who's not as busy. I mean, I'm sure you're very busy too, but Bob, I'm sure Bob he's up to his neck in SWCD stuff, so.
well, it'll be primarily you guys running or us running the project. So like, I'm not gonna,
Yeah,
I'm not the principal.
you're just gonna
investigator.
be that. I'm the guy that makes the connection, right?
Well, I'll also be responsible for, depending on who's the PI. Like who's gonna take that responsibility of making sure the reports get submitted
The deliverables are there.
and deliverables and
Yeah.
the financial reports. So our COG will handle all the financial stuff. But for the performance reports, that's usually the principal investigator's responsibility.
Okay.
You do it, make sure that you do it, so it's not my name that looks like it's late,
Yes.
right? Okay,
Okay.
that's it.
So we'll get together and we'll have we'll continue that. We'll start planning our attack with this grant. It's a fun one. We have so much funding there for conservation activities, so this is our time.
Good job on that.
Yeah, it's definitely historic. I think it's the most money we've ever received from NACD, but it's all for good things. So we'll strategize on that more. USDA APHIS Wildlife Services, we do have an active agreement with them. Trapping is still going on. I don't know if Buck or whoever, I know we have a new point of contact.
Hey, Don. Oh, good, because we have a question.
Yeah.
Wow, nice cut.
Thank you. Louis Ripovich did it.
Oh, you got your printouts? Okay.
No, I'm not all of them.
Okay,
I just got that thing.
here's our budget.
2 minutes ago.
Okay, we're on right now, district administrator reports under grants and agreements. We're talking about USDA APHIS Wildlife Services, so we did renew our contract with them for this fiscal year. I'm not sure how much, I know that we've already paid in full the 20,000 to them. I was hoping we get that DOI grant funding, didn't go through, did you report on that already? Did you wanna
Oh,
announce
no,
it?
they didn't.
We didn't get it.
They didn't give it to us.
And I did want to say though that we did renew the contract, but I did say in favor of doing that, but I want to be able to consider looking into changing
Other
that
options.
the next time we come around for renewal because
Yeah,
the amount of money for, and then what they're using it for, and then the different things that we've kind of seen, I'd like to see, at least I'd like to see these other options, at least be given a shot. Primarily the big, right?
Mhm.
So, stuff like that, just how much money is being used for, for that, and then what, yeah, just, that was something I wanted to revisit the next time we renewed, but we renewed this particular time.
What's your total budget that you have for the year?
We have, I'm sorry, can I pause this? We have $116,733, so
And this APHIS is how much?
20,000.
So you're giving them roughly 20% of what you got.
Mhm.
Yeah, you
But we're able to get other funding sources to cover that drill.
Yeah,
sewing
we covered
program.
that outside of this budget.
Yeah, outside of this.
What you gotta guard is your budget. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's probably gonna drop every year going forward. from the local
Yes.
Yeah,
Appropriation.
I mean, it's looking that way, right?
Mhm.
Oh, no, we got $20,000 more than last year. just
Yeah,
saying.
well, UOG is declining and kind of, I don't know.
We'll see. So can we backtrack to hit
Sure.
that question about the auditing and
Okay.
that thing, right? We were wondering about UOG, because Dr. Glenn there was saying that we should look to UOG first before getting a contract out for our bookkeeping and also the auditing and stuff.
Payroll services,
Payroll.
yeah,
Do you pay 10% of your money to UOG?
negative.
Then never mind.
Are we willing to though?
Well, if you pay, I think it's now 15%. If you were to pay 15% of your money in UOG, they might help you out with that.
Well, 15 is RCOG. I think the underwrites for EOG is still 10, yeah.
Okay.
But that would be something that would need to be taken up with, control the level of UOG and C, because, yeah, I mean, if you're just a pass through, and right now the North still, to my knowledge, hasn't submitted reports, they're not happy with the districts, and you guys are painted with the same brush. So the North not doing their job is going to mess with you guys too.
Well, I hope you still put in 2 good cents for us, right?
I am not putting in anything. I said I contacted North. I've done it twice. I've gotten 0 response. Hope says it's theirs. They say it's Hope's. I'm like, then right. And I've told them there's no reason they can't write their report. They don't need Hope to do it. They know who went on what meetings.
They're there now. They should.
There's enough of them there.
But you should always, throw in that the Southern already did.
No, I've been, no, they know that. They're after me for the North, but it's just, when you go and start asking for additional services. Because it wasn't that many years ago that the Southern was the bad one, I mean, we had,
You were.
That was before us, so.
yeah, that was well before y'all. That goes back, to a whole different group of workers.
So with that, then Dr. Bob, would you advise us to continue moving into outsourcing that and paying a fee to?
Well, so my question is, what's an outside account gonna, you gotta do your audit, so what's an outside account? Are they gonna charge you 10% or more of your budget? Because UOG will charge you at least 10%.
Yeah, so then what, 9,000 wouldn't be 10, right? It would be
Yeah.
just below.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's the figure that we
if you could get all your financial services for 9,000, you're probably better off to do it outside.
Okay.
If it was, when it was before, where it was under UOG, it would be 0 problem. Any grants that are run under UOG, but you guys are a pass through, and so UOG, these pass throughs, they don't get anything for it, they just pass it through. But when the legislature looks at the total UOG budget, they see your budget in there, and they see all the other pass throughs in there, the hatchery should, all these other things just shouldn't be in UOG's budget. And it makes them think we've got,
all this money.
yeah,
You know,
we
she doesn't really have it.
got buildings with no air power. Because we don't have enough.
The aquaculture budget though, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
That aquaculture budget, in my opinion, should be completely zeroed out. I mean, honestly, there's,
Is that a pass through also?
it's not totally, it's weird. It was supposed to be at least to get it out from under, get the cost office. It was supposed to come to us, in the Bill Fitzgerald days, as running it as a hatchery, not for the island, not as a international source of pathogen-free shit.
Yeah.
And that's what people sold it to the dean and others, it was a great business thing, never was. They apparently were supposed to enter in a contract that would do it. And yet we're still paying for a full-time faculty to support it. We're still paying for all this money going through to do it. And in addition to the lease money, and I don't think the lease money, and I don't know the economics of it because I haven't seen the details of the budgets, but I do know it's a huge amount of money that is not critical to our mission at all, I mean, I know the governor loves aquaculture, and Center for All Sustainability is sort of looking at it, but that's a whole different world than what they're doing.
Shouldn't that be something like agriculture or something?
Well, no, absolutely. It originally started as Bill Fitzgerald was with the Department of Commerce, and that's where it came in under. Then it was with ag. And why it came to us, I never understood,
Oh,
but.
that's easy. So you can't handle anything.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, and I mean, it probably was a fiscal thing, yeah, you know,
Well, that needs.
and it was also Bill Fitzgerald left ag, and he was
That
the
department is
person.
Waste
who-
of time. And.
Well, I'm thankful for that, that's what got me into this whole thing, so.
Yeah, the opposite.
No, when I first got hired here. I was
Oh.
putting on those aqua tanks and.
Oh, well, that was different though. That wasn't, that was UOG's extension aquaculture and the Center for Sustainability is sort of doing that type of work, but the hatchery is a whole different thing. Their primary thing is raising.
So how did that, that's the one in the back road there where
Yeah, the back road going down off there. Yeah,
that, what's his name took over?
Yeah, Dr. Chang's husband, Dong Ho, is in control of it. For a long time, it was her and John Brown running it. And John Brown loved it because he loved playing with the tanks and doing all this stuff. And so that's what he spent his last 7 years doing. And, but it really, it's an albatross, you know, but those are the kind of things, we have multiple things like that through UOG. So, if you can get UOG, if you're a pass-through, and then UOG, if you had a problem, like when the North was fighting, yeah, the extension people would have used our college accountants to do a one-time quick look audit to help them understand where did the money go, what's right, what's wrong. But that's different than you're talking your annual audit for reporting purposes. I would, yeah, I mean, UOG has the capability of doing it, but I think they would probably want to have, take the indirect charge.
A chunk out of it.
And I think I don't think it would be less than 10%. If your budget's 116, that'd be about $11,000. So
It's under it.
yeah, and you're kind of a independent group, so it might be worth paying for the private sector to do it. What you might could do is get a joint package deal with the North and have, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how they're working. I missed y'all's last meeting, so.
Well, Doc,
Well,
that joint stuff is good when things are good, but right now they haven't got, they still have to get everything in order on their
Yeah.
side.
How about this as a thought? I mean, I don't know, you guys know more than I in this topic here, but like, if we do have that does a joint one, that would help get them in line with their finances and. That
Well,
way you don't just have.
like Doc said, they still haven't even submitted their annual reports. There's a lot of mess
they can't-
that they haven't.
Someone wouldn't take that on, like some
They got-
outside.
Well, they're not even getting, at least if they don't get it out kind of late, but at least you're getting notices. I don't even know when they're meeting, to be honest.
Yeah, they had to cancel this yesterday because they didn't.
So with us, so again, back to what I'm saying is if we do have, like, let's say a joint one, let's say we both pay and we have a joint one, would that outside entity, that private company that's gonna do this, would that help them get in order?
No,
No, okay.
they've got to submit their trip report.
Yeah, there's
If
so
they want to
much.
get fiscally in line.
Yeah.
All they got to do to make UOG happy is submit a report of what they did with the money, and they can do a recall thing. I mean, it would literally take them, and if I know when they're having a meeting, I'm willing to sit with them and in 20 minutes we can do the report. I mean,
Yeah,
what
but
UOG needs is so
Remember,
basic.
remember their absence is what goes back not just the last 2-3 years, it's beyond that because when they were non-functioning.
Yeah, well, and some of that time maybe they can't, but again.
Yeah, but they took the money.
I know,
They
and
spent it.
they can still do a report. They did their teachers thing. They went on trips. They can do a report on that, and that meets the most basic requirement of it wouldn't suffice for a federal audit of how the money went, but for. No one's watching, honestly, no one. What's
Well,
going on?
I don't know, nowadays we got Dougie there.
The recording.
but-
Well, everybody wants it. No, but my point is, you need to get at least a preliminary report of, you basically paid the directors for you went on these trips and you did this educating thing. That stuff they did, that's where most of the money probably went. If they did that, that would have.
But see, even that is bad because their trip reports, their approval of those expenses, there's nothing to show. So those are issues that they have to rectifying it before we do anything with them. We don't want to be in that mess with them right now. We're just gonna keep doing what we've been doing and keep going. If they catch up, then good.
Okay. So we're going for it. But yeah, that's, we'll just.
I don't have any, I don't have.
There's a lot of.
Yeah,
So when it
okay.
comes back.
So we're good with that, but that's the,
It's okay, I get my resignation letter.
okay. I'll get stuff done, right?
So we're gonna agree then to.
Yeah.
Wow.
If I have, if I have.
So she has to get 3 quotes again.
Follow up with the two that haven't responded.
Supposedly,
Yeah.
because it should still be. HR,
It's the date that they-
It's not.
maybe send letter comes, yeah.
That's.
But Lee,
That's the.
Knowing that they were just need to see that click on it, already done, and the other two, it's just been follow up on.
I hope I can trust that.
So we did hash that out.
Otherwise, yeah.
You know, so.
You know, we're in dire straits, but I don't think they're cutting any of those
So
positions.
where we at that?
We're
Right now, it's
And we.
But she'll-
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't know what.
So I could,
One that we recommended and.
where is that?
trying to agree with, I know.
Well, it really doesn't matter to me, but if I work here or if I have all my projects still, so I think.
So this is the MOA with the SBDC, the Small Business Development. So we've been meeting with them and talking to them, so they.
Yeah, well, they
finally did
fixed,
this draft. And they're just waiting actually for signatures if we approve it.
We made a
So,
recommendation. I don't
That was for
know.
that training on that roll up.
This is-
I think
yes, yeah.
And the interview.
And so, you know, we would pay, charge each farmer or participants $20, right? And then our board would cover the rest. So it was,
We said it was a copy.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Just so that they have skin in the game too, right? You know, not
Everybody's gonna show up.
I'm talking, I'm not.
But if they know that so anyways, it's ready to go.
And if I'm doing the union comes through, you'll be seeing in fall.
So we, okay, so we need to appropriate the amount of money.
Yeah, I think Erica will literally explain that part of the, because it's already.
That was the what you want.
Oh, okay, no, well, this is the 4th of January.
And
So it's been.
refresh our.
Refresh.
What we promised happens.
Yeah, so we're good, right? With that, yeah. So you wanna get in, you guys wanna take a look at it?
Oh, no, you know, it's not.
We'll get caught.
That's incremental, right?
We'll be better, we'll get.
So Erica, we're on the employees of SBDC, so I just kind of give them a real thing, but you want to talk about expense.
Yeah, so let me pull it up here.
Yeah, they're paying more, at least at the starting. Now you've got a fair bit of experience. When you start counting experience, we still do better, but honestly, our scale has only changed 11% since '91. The teachers have changed about 40%, GCC about 35%.
I wonder why.
Because the administration promised us, and they changed the administrative skills, but then they never changed ours. And then we had an HRO director who was telling the then president.
Erica,
Oh, they already got to change in
We
19.
agreed that we'll just get updated quotes for the outsourcing.
Got it.
Yeah,
That sounds good.
yeah,
I'll send out the RFP to everybody.
okay, take Dr. Bob's advice.
Yeah, for back pay.
And it sounds like what you were.
Yeah.
That's what Mr. Jones feels. I'm just trying to get
Less.
a lump sum increase in the line item.
You're on, Steve.
See, it's going backwards, not going administrative.
And
We,
Yes.
not that many years ago, we were 32 million budget, now we're at 23 million. budget.
That's
So
right.
It's like, we've taken huge hits.
So yes, we're trying to, this was a project that we wanted, a pilot that we wanted to launch to help our ag producers and then also our ag professionals in terms of keeping track and using really the QuickBooks program. So that way it really helped the farmers and ag professionals in, you know, with the ag their ag businesses and just learning the QuickBooks program. So that way it would open more opportunities, hopefully for them to apply for grants. So that's really what it is. We haven't moved forward. This was something that we've been talking about in the last fiscal year, but it never came up. But the conversation is continuing again. So there is an opportunity to see if we want to pursue this program with the Pacific Island Small Business Development Center, which is offering training for farmers and ag professionals in QuickBooks. Here's the responsibilities and of each party.
So you're gonna pay 175 out of your budget and then the trainee pays $20.
Yes, so that way they're invested, they're
I'm
invested.
in.
Yes.
So anyways, just real quickly, what Erica said about this, just from my experiences at the co-op, dealing with farmers and grants. So this is one selling point on this, where they can get used to doing their finances, right, and taking care of their paperwork and submitting documents, right? Because this is how you're gonna qualify for grants. Federal grants will not go, you won't get near them without your, was it Schedule F doc, right?
Yes.
You can't go near a grant that has their federal monies. So knowing how to do all this and being more responsible about your record and everything, then you can qualify for these things. People have missed out over the last 2 years, 2.5, 3 years.
Director Glenn, are you all using QuickBooks?
Honestly, that's what, when we had this first initial meeting, I said, dude, I need to take it because I'm still using Excel. Really, that's how but I'm not really a large, you guys see.
No, but it doesn't matter.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
That's right. So when I said, oh, I'm attending because I need it. I've been told by a few different, business owners, you gotta get QuickBooks, you gotta do QuickBooks. Steve, right? And he's like, dude, and he's showing it to me and I'm like, okay, dude, I will, but I just, I'm not yet there. But I mean, when we had this meeting, I was like, shoot, I like it. And I like how we talked about having a fee, because then that was, at least they'll own it. They won't just, oh, it's free, and they're not gonna,
Yeah,
at least
not
you're
committed.
invested. Yeah.
So does the training include QuickBooks,
You
the
know,
software?
Yeah, we're gonna have
QuickBooks is lease, you pay for it annually.
It's like a yearly,
Okay.
Yeah,
It's not that cheap either. We'll be talking hundreds of dollars a year.
yeah. But the basic one,
Right.
like.
but even that is a
That's why I said I was thinking
deductible
about
item,
Excel
right?
now.
Yeah, that's something we
I'm
can
not-
revisit,
Yeah.
have raffle or, some sort of prize for
Yeah.
the cohort.
And that's honestly why I haven't, is because the yearly fee. Like right now, I'm just small enough to still, Excel's enough, like my ins and outs. And I still have all my reporting and do all of that stuff, but it's plus the grant had required, some pretty in detail stuff, so, yeah. But we'll see.
Well, one of the things that's useful with QuickBooks is if you get the basic QuickBooks, there are many extension services that have developed whole farm management systems on QuickBook, where they actually give you the ledger of accounts that you would use and all the rest, so that it can, these are, 1,000-acre farms with, $1 million equipment, but it's still, the thing is, that there's kind of a system there that could help you, but, I would say if they focus on it and they just could help you figure out how to export the data for tax reporting software, that would be great. Just in and of itself. When are you talking about doing this?
Well,
We did say this
hopefully
year.
this coming year.
So $750.
Oh, we talked about.
February, March, I mean, how many days are they talking about? And I don't, what I don't
Summer.
see here is how many hours. of training.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You need to lock them down.
Probably the end of March.
$200. and you would hope you
Or
get
after
Yeah,
the fiscal
now.
April is next season, so
I
maybe.
think we wanted to secure first getting from them, and then we were gonna pick that date, so.
When
we're
are
on
they
that
not
stuff. So
as-
now we're saying we're there, right?
When
Now
our
we're there.
farmers, when's the
Okay, so
farmers
what-
downtime?
When's the
When's
family
the
time?
Farmers, it's a good one.
the rainy season.
Yeah.
The rainy season, yeah, like right now, there's not much you can do out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
honestly,
maybe like that would be a great time.
If we are looking, well, of course, the rainy season is gonna end in another month, right,
Yeah.
at least. So the next would be in like July, at least July to December again.
Yeah, and then Erica will be back when at that time. Yeah.
Good time frame.
what you need to get is how many hours training is it? I mean, they're telling you all this money, but they're not saying how many hours of training will they give you? Are they talking a 4-hour seminar? Or are they talking a 40-hour training?
Yeah, I believe I threw that question out too, and especially, let me
You don't want anything less.
Was
than
it
10
2 days
hours.
worth of training?
Yeah, I would say
yeah,
16 hours would be good. 20-hour training would be ideal.
20-hour training. Yeah, we can clarify that. With the POC, Brian Nicholas, right? He
Yeah.
wrote that.
July or August might be good.
July or August.
This is another.
So, with doing the calculation, 175 for 20, it's about 3,500. And it's not budgeted right now in this amended proposed budget, but we can appropriate that one. We do have a surplus of like 4,000.
I think what you should do is you should make a flyer and that list the $20 the farmer would pay. And how much is an annual lease of QuickBooks, and then find out how many farmers are interested, find out how many of you guys are interested. And because you got 10 and 10, do you have 10? I mean, you got me interested. I think Jesse would be interested in taking it in terms of people who work with the group. There's 2, 4, 6 of y'all. You need to, so if all of you did it, you almost are there for your 10,
Mhm.
but for your farmer 10.
We'll
For
probably
this-
collaborate with the co-op and see who's the eligible
No,
bachelors and
Oh, man. There's a handful.
Better active.
A handful. Yeah, there's a bunch, but they're active
20,
now,
30,
yeah.
40.
No, not even.
So 10.
10 is,
But yeah.
I mean, even
though
those other ones, you can take them out of their branch and,
You don't want to sign a contract if you can't get 10 farmers.
well, you know, like you said, the co-op, right? We can source, because they're all our farmers anyway, right?
Right, no, I mean, I think you could co-op and you might get I'm worried about how many. you
Don't
might
fulfill it
get.
versus we're
I
saying.
mean,
guarantee.
when we've talked in the co-op, I hear a lot of, but when it comes down to. That's why you need to know how many hours, what would be the format, is it gonna be in all days, or is it gonna be 4 hours, is it gonna be Saturdays, is it gonna be?
Yeah.
I mean, these
Well,
are.
we did talk to those guys about flexibility and that schedule and of course, yeah.
Okay.
So does it have to be a minimum, when you spoke with these guys, did it have to be a minimum of this?
minimum, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, I see.
No, they're wanting to make sure they get that.
Yeah, at least,
Yeah.
okay.
I think their lab can handle more than 10.
Yeah, they can.
But they're just saying, okay.
Do they need to be registered farmers?
No,
Well, we're not worrying about that as long as we got willing participants. I think
that's a good question.
Yeah, because it does say 4 farmers. right?
800 registered farmers.
I'm not a DOI registered farmer. I'm
I would think majority that would participate are registered here too, so.
I think maybe we'll follow like the USDA.
Yeah.
Oh,
Are you selling?
Yeah.
Yeah, are you making $1,000 or more per year? Kind of just go on. Mhm. But it would make sense if they're part of the active district registry, which I'm sure they would be if they own that. Or they're can at least verify that.
So how about this, since we are gonna look into getting more information, right, about the hours, things like that, what's our target date, maybe after we find this info out? Maybe we'll kind of table this kind of action until we get that info, but then with wanting to be able to support this.
That makes sense, especially we can talk about it at the next board
Next.
meeting.
So we'll make sure, yeah, this could be on the agenda and we'll just kind of,
So Dr. Bob, are you maybe recommending that we kind of put a call out prior?
Yeah, I do flower and ask the co-op, how many members would be willing, I distribute it, if you could put a thing out to your farmers, but you could also send it to the co-op and just say. If the workshop was gonna cost you $20 and you'd be expected to put this many hours in. And Quicken costs this much, should you later want to use it, how many would be interested in paying $20 for a workshop with and you could note that you're subsidizing $175 a person, so you want people who are looking to be sure people are serious before we enter. And then if you get more than 10, you would then, go up to the amount. I mean, realizing you could double your cost by, if you got 20 farmers in the room, it costs you more, but
Yeah.
that would be a good impact.
We also have our active district registry listing to, like some members there. We can-
So I would get a flyer and let them know. I'd find out how many hours the workshop's gonna be. You probably want a minimum of 2-hour time blocks, maximum of.
attention span wise.
Yeah, 4 hours is, but I would try to get them to not do it all in one day, but no long, minimum 2 hours, long as 4 hours at a time.
Yeah,
And that might hinge on what they're able to provide, right? But you're right, that's, if we were to ask, that's what we were asking for. Cause yeah, 4 hours is long, especially when you do those pesticide, yeah, 4 hours is long.
No, I just did a master food reserve stuff. It was 10 days or 8 days and 8 hours a day and we were fading. And what ends up happening is invariably the instructors burn out and they let you go. You pay for 8 hours, but you only get 6. So it's better to do 4 because everybody's fully engaged in 4. But I would shoot for 20 hours, 4 hours, 20 hours total, 4 hours each, 5 times, and maybe you could do it once a week over 5 weeks. But what you need to do is sort of get the general parameters and, note that you're subsidizing, note the farmer has to pay this, note that if they really want it quick, and this is what an annual small user lease would be. And see how many are interested.
Sounds like a plan. We can do that and I'll get that information together.
I'm very interested. I've got a small inn in the Philippines that I'd like to put under QuickBooks, so it will certainly be useful. I don't need it for my farm, but I need it for my business.
Nice.
One of
That's the
so
plan.
I'll
The
also
intent.
take a little bit of time to see, because I haven't looked at what state extension services, farm record systems are still supporting. Everybody's going to this FinPac, which is outrageously big farmer oriented, dairy farmer oriented. And I liked the states that were going down the line for QuickBooks because they would have all kind of, layers that you could put in.
yeah, different.
Right, and you could then we could look at showing this to SBC and they could show how, okay, here's some things you could set up. Just doing like what is a, samples of farm chart of accounts, what is the tractor, what is that? They have all these different things you keep track of. In your inventories of the list.
Okay, so move.
Okay.
So we'll table this.
Yeah.
Do we necessarily have to table it or,
Yeah, no, we never made a motion or anything.
yeah, we
Yeah,
can just
we'll
wait until
Be
next.
ready for them.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on, ongoing tasks and projects. So first off, our employee status. Leah Parcina, she's verbally resigned effective December 15th.
Oh,
Mr. Chair, did you want to add to that or anything? But we'd like to hire a replacement as soon as possible. So we'll go ahead and post that up in Craigslist. Dr. Bob, if you have any prospective students or people
Yeah.
that
Someone
Students
that
who
can also work
graduated.
in the NRCS.
Yeah.
They'll definitely get really great hands-on training.
So make a motion for that.
Dr. Moritani just had a graduate and got a master's. We might be looking for a job. I don't know. But where the split within our CS might be good.
well, in that week, so we're gonna move to begin the hiring process for a new associate, right? So I'll move to begin the hiring process for a new conservation associate.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? No, all in favor? Thank you. Right on, let's do it.
But I have a question, if I may ask, like, why is she leaving? And if there's something that went wrong, is there something we can fix with the next?
She said she's gonna be gone for 3 months. She's doing some art exhibition in Los Angeles, and she's gonna be gone from I think like the second week of January. All the way into end of March, something like that. So from what she told me that, she just felt like it would, she wouldn't be able to put the hours in with us and it would have.
Well, she told me already that she wanted to resign. The last time I met her, right?
Oh, so
Actually, it was here.
there wasn't an issue with the job itself.
Huh?
It wasn't an issue with the job itself. Okay.
Yeah, she just had too much, according to her, already going on.
Okay, so she would, when she comes back, she's not looking to pick back up a job.
No, there was nothing, and there was no promises about that either. So we're just gonna keep going, we'll look for somebody.
I'm sure there's another Erica out there.
No, there's no other Erica.
Oh.
Maybe more.
It's not an Eric, not an Eric.
All right.
What is the hourly rate y'all are paying for that position?
Right now we have 12,000 FTE part-time.
And how many, what, 12,000, what FTE, like, is it halftime? For
Halftime.
part-time? It's halftime. So you're really looking.
But we do have more like grants, the NACD technical assistance grant, so if they are also willing to give their, time to learn and
Is that at a higher hourly rate?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's a pretty low rate.
probably like 20.
Yeah, but Erica, that 12,000, that's just us, right, as a part, and so if she worked for the technical assistance grant, right, at NRCS, right, that automatically, that's her extra
Then
also.
it'd be like
Right, but
bumped
there
up.
are extra hours added for that
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is at halftime, you're talking 24,000 in your salary, that's pretty low. You're looking at not even a graduate at that level, maybe a student worker. We're steadily trying to get up to $15 an hour even for student workers.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I got everybody up to 11 already, but it's still low.
It's 11.15 an hour.
It's 11.50 an hour. Okay, so
And-
yeah, that's what I pay my students.
Okay,
So is that something we should look at?
I mean,
Yeah, okay.
well, we can up it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've paid in past 18,000 for like for part-time. So we can go back to that.
That
That's a
would be
lot.
competitive for a college graduate.
Yes,
That would
that's like 750 every 2 weeks.
link it to where if they could pick a part-time with, or, half-time with the technical, they would get very valuable experience. And now you're talking a job that would be very good for our ag graduates, because they get the NRCS experience, they get the farmer experience, and they're making 36,000 a year, which is roughly teacher starting pay, a little below.
Actually, Don, that's good because, talking to the NRCS people and in the back there when we're talking to them, they're really, there's a lot of money they want to hire people.
Mhm.
But the problem is you need to get them trained up to a certain level, right?
Right,
So this kind of thing would be good for that.
and our ag graduates need that training. I mean, they don't have, conservation practice training in the program. I'm trying to bring it in this course I'm gonna do this next semester, will be try and start bringing soil and water conservation in as the technologies we cover, but it's not a required course.
No, I think this goes back to a conversation that we've been having, looking at our mandates. The districts can only hire restricted status, like, the staff doesn't get leave, we don't have health insurance or benefits whatsoever. Is this a conversation?
So that's, is that something that can be fixed here Don, with UOG maybe?
Well, why are you under this restricted thing? Is that part of your rules or is
That's part of our mandates and I don't know why it's there.
it in the law or is it just in,
It's in the law.
well, so. Just law. So, got a new legislature, time to go around and visit and
Well, you can still supplement that all in with the grants.
Yes, that's
You brought
true.
that in, so.
yeah, on the grants, you can include their fringe for
Mhm.
full-time and then have the grant only pay half and that is one way to get around it. And you can buy into a full-time, even with those restricted, if someone's on a full-time, because that's what we did with Joanne Brown is, she was partly paid for y'all, or, yeah, it was the north actually that started, it was both the north and south, but they paid half. And then I came in with my grant paid half, and we were able to make her full-time, and then so she got to go one-time and everything while working for the district.
So that's where I kind of see where the University of Guam would be beneficial to help with our payroll because there's already benefits.
Well, and in those days, you actually were part of UOG, and it was early on, there was a group that, I think it was under Hope's early involvement in the north, that they decided they were going to become a pastor. Hope and Angie, this is part of what they did, and they pushed to become pastor and not have UOG telling them what they could or could not do, and that happened around 13, 14, something like that.
Yeah, I just finished telling the board that
Um,
at one point UOG was handling that. So it's an-
Yeah, Yeah,
taken out.
those were the days when Joy Brown was working for us, and we did a lot of things, and so
Also worked for the district, for UOG
she worked for UOG and the district.
and the district. But she wasn't a board member.
She was Erica's position, sort of for the district. She was the executive, whatever you wanna call it, assistant to the districts. And she kept the minutes, she did all the, well, actually, she then hired, what was her name? She had her right-hand person that did all the actual, and God knows, the minutes were just too detailed. They recorded it and you'd have a full transcription. But it was, in those days, they did an enormous amount of work. I mean, that's when the districts did very aggressive needs assessments of the community. We're engaged with a bunch of us in extension and doing stuff. That's when they all got me dragged in to the Chamorro Land Trust stuff. And there were all these other things that came out of it. And then later, when the South stopped paying her, because she and Benny had a falling out, it was the North and me, and then I had my land trust grant so she steadily moved more and more, less with the districts and more as a UOG employee. But the point is, at that time, unless the laws changed, we were able, or you were able to buy into a position that UOG created the position and you guys were able to buy in, or you could have an RCS create the position and would then have been eligible where you were just paying in for the portion of the position. I do think though, yeah, having benefits is important, maybe not for someone just beginning their career, but certainly having a basic salary would be important though.
So what are those kind of positions called here in UOG? Because, outside there, right, the mayors and everybody else,
Right.
they have their LTAs, right, limited term.
Right,
So
so they're called extension associates or research associates or extension assistants.
but they're still similar to that, a limited term.
Yeah, and what you have, I mean, anything other than faculty or administrator or civil service at UOG is not the term, even administrator is not a term actually.
All the years I worked here under you, Dave, was also.
Yeah, it's all in that term.
I was always that.
So those positions, as at the salary you've got right now, would be extension assistant, you start jumping it up to 36,000, it might be an extension associate, you're expecting more responsibilities. That's what Joanne Brown's actual technical title was, an extension associate, but she was like an associate with me, because we were paying her, 60, 70.
That's before she was a senator.
And she was a senator, then she was something else, then she was here. And then it was just before she went to Public Works and then later the board. I mean, when Calvo came in, then she was matter of fact, I was keeping her so she'd get her Gov Guam retirement. She was trying to get her last, one of the things was she wanted to work for Gov Guam for 2 more years. And so we were
Supporting her being.
at the price I got her, it was cheap. So I was like, really, she was pretty high level employee for not relatively speaking, a huge amount of money. But yeah, we were.
So what about just, never mind all that's UOG stuff, right? Just following Gov Guam, how they have limited term status. Is
Well,
that-
you could do the limited term stuff. I'd have to look at Gov Guam because we created a whole new class of limited term employees, which is basically everything that's not faculty, administrative, civil service. But within, it was modeled after what Gov Guam has. It's PT, EFE or something like that is how the position's done. PT is what they're calling it here. But there's a Gov Guam equivalent, and I don't know exactly what it is, but they don't go on, well, if they're full-time, they go Gov Guam retirement. If they're part-time, they do Social Security.
Cause we're still considered a government board, right?
Right.
So I don't see why there should be something that we can do that, right?
The thing that kills you with any form of Gov Guam position full-time is you have to pay 30% fringe because you're paying massive amount, even though it won't go into their retirement. And you're paying 30% to that employee into the Gov Guam retirement. The plan, the hybrid and the old plan, not the defined contribution, and then you'll pay 6% to, so you pay basically what happens, you pay 30%, 6% goes to the employee's retirement, 24% goes to support the old plans. And that's a big burden when you're looking at an employee versus someone who's on Social Security at 7.5%. The problem is if someone wants to work for Gov Guam for most of their life, being on Social Security, then that's just money being thrown away. Because, for example, my Social Security will stop the day I start collecting retirement. It'll drop down to the minimum 280.
You're paying Social Security for
No, I paid social security before coming to.
Before
work.
coming, yeah.
I earned that money. I should get
But now you're not
$800 a
gonna-
month, but the day I retire, I
Yeah.
won't get that $800. It'll stop, it'll go down to the minimum absolute level.
Are
of
you
Social
getting
Security.
now?
Yeah, once you turn 66, you can work and collect social security, so.
Even though if it's a government? Oh, shoot.
So I'm getting. Yeah, no, if you.
No, I don't have enough, man.
What you can't do is work for a state or territorial government.
Right.
I mean, retire from the state or territory. You can retire from the feds. and get
But as you're
Social
still working, you can,
Yeah, you can.
as long as you're in the age.
As long as I'm not, yeah. And I have to keep going down and proving that I haven't retired yet, because I'm 68, and I said, why haven't you retired yet?
But so you started collecting at 63,
66.
66.
Yeah.
You didn't wait for 70,
No, because I will be retired by then, and then it won't. be
yeah, it
anything.
won't matter.
This is my window. If I don't
Yeah.
take it now.
What you're getting now is gonna be the
You know,
best. you're
yeah,
gonna
they
get.
got like 60,000 of my dollars over the years, and
Yeah.
I'll get this 700 a month. for
I had to
4
back
years.
pay social security, but I'll never see any of that.
Yeah, they made a deal off of me because I went to work for, it's unfair what they do to the state and territorial governments. They don't do it to business. They don't do it. You can have retirement.
Even in the
business
military.
and get it in the military and get social security and federal and get social security, but you can't work for a state or a territory and then.
Yeah.
And by law, the state and territory will get inside, but by law, the state and territories are required to have a plan better than social security. Our defined contribution plan is not even as
Yeah,
good
doesn't even
as social
come.
security, so we're there's a great class action.
Well, they should automatically, they should now qualify for that. Because now that retirement is basically like a 401, right, or something.
No, well, that doesn't, that's different. The retirement is basically 6%, 6%, social security is 7 point something percent. So social security is better, plus that thing gives no other benefits. Social security gives disability benefits, it gives all kind of other stuff that the defined contribution just doesn't do. That's why if they had passed that bill, if they started on, that would have allowed every government employee to go into the old plan money to join the hybrid plan. And then if you weren't in the hybrid plan, well, it's by choice, and you shot your own self in the foot. But right now, new employees that go one can't get into the hybrid, which is a better plan. They can't get into it, and it means that the old employees, my generation, are going to suffer because when we're in our 80s, there'll be nobody in the plans, and there'll be less interest in maintaining the plan. Right now, there's a huge amount, but 20 years from now, whereas if everybody goes into it, it'd be a sustainable plan. And it was, BJ and them did a good job. They figured out the amount that needed to be contributed and make it sustainable. But then San Nicholas said, no, people can't afford 9% and dropped it out and created this defined contribution. So we're headed the same train wreck we were in before. Anyway, that's the point is for you guys, you might be better having them at 39 hours and paying social security, because it'd be way cheaper. And that would allow you to partner with NRCS. If you were to go with something like we did in the past with Joanne, where it was full time, you would need to plan on not just a good salary, but then 30% of that salary also.
Okay, sorry. We still gotta figure that out here. So let's move on. Where are we at?
Okay, Board of Ethics Training and the educational program. So by law, all directors have to go undergo this ethics training. Has all the directors taken this ethics
Action
training?
on that.
I know, okay. You have. Right? I know all employee, but Guam employees have to take the ethics training.
Really?
It's a law.
I'm not sure. I
Need to get
Within 6 months of employment, you have to take
But-
this training.
When?
When did we take it?
I took
Oh,
one
you
for the
took it
feds,
recently?
but
Oh, when?
So we'll register you.
Was that earlier this year?
That was, yeah. With the new ethics commission revamp,
I'm not sure I ever took it.
I wanna
I've
say it
taken
was the second
sexual harassment trainings out in the wazoo. I've taken,
But that was a long time ago too, though, Dr. Bob.
yeah, I know.
It's a UOG Glee.
So where are we gonna get this training? And
I'll just have to contact the Guam Ethics Commission and see what the schedule is like for the upcoming trainings. I know they have it on Zoom, so,
So this is,
oh, they have a Zoom option.
yes.
this is actually $120. It's just one day.
Yes,
You don't-
there is a fee, I believe we only. pay
It's one full
60.
day.
Didn't know what you're getting into.
No, I took one for the USDA. Does that count or no?
No.
Negative.
Because that was probably like a 2 hour
The
thing.
government has different rules.
I've done that,
Okay.
and I've done medical information things, and I've done
I'll look into it more.
research subject stuff, but I haven't done ethics.
Doesn't
I can send
UOG
down
have
the,
that, it's like
You have to
sticky something? They have a bunch of trainings. I forget what it's called.
We could just add it as supporting document.
I have the federal too.
They have what used to be continuing education now, it's global.
But that won't
learning,
count here,
some
right?
Engage or something, anyway.
That
They,
did take long.
they're probably the ones running it, and they'll be doing it
That
for
was,
profit, hence.
I didn't sign up for all this.
Okay.
So just to ensure we're in line with our
So
responsibility,
we need a motion, right?
yeah.
So somebody make a motion, please, for this.
I motion to register all directors with the exception of those who are certified already to attend the mandatory ethics. training.
Should there be a time frame for this?
I vote nay.
ASAP. And, it has to be within 6 months of the director's
Oh.
swearing in.
Okay,
I second that motion.
okay.
Who's the instructor for that course, do you know?
It changes, but it was like,
I had Burger, is there Burger?
Who
She
did
has
we
red
have?
hair, curly red hair.
No, we had a male instructor.
he was an attorney,
Yeah, okay.
but it seemed outsourced. like,
Yeah.
outsourced, yeah, attorneys choose.
So all in favor, say aye, please.
That's one,
Come on,
No,
Dale.
I-
3. You're
Unanimous. Okay,
And then
Is
we
it
need
just Lynn that has to take it, or the others who do it?
no, I do too.
Yeah, there's 3. And you,
Okay.
Dr. Bob.
I'm not a director. I'm not a director. I'm gonna continue with whatever they require
So do
faculty.
we need to make an amendment? to include,
I gotta get a polio shot or test or whatever.
Here, can we
Probably on
just,
the OT dime.
on the back, the education training.
Okay, so in addition to the ethics training, there's also another requirement with new board members coming in. We have to have an educational program training, which details, I know GCC used to do this for all new board members. This is different from the ethics training. But the districts should have a training program for new incoming directors that details what the roles and responsibilities of the district.
And that includes like conducting meetings and
Yeah.
how we.
That's the one that.
In the
Okay.
past, yes, it includes that, like Robert's rules of
Yeah.
order.
like an orientation.
An orientation.
Orientation.
Joe Sanchez has been the one running that for the past years that I can remember and recall, but I feel like we need to revamp that. Or I'm not sure if the University of Guam offers that service. Dr. Bob, do you know? I know Pitt.
I'm sure that over in public administration, they have something they can do, but yeah, I don't know. I'd have to ask. So I'm trying to look educational program training,
Yeah, I actually, I know there's a
a director's training is what you're basically talking about.
director's
Yeah.
training.
Guam director's training.
Board of directors.
Last time we did it, it was Vic Artero and Ted Iad who were doing it for the boards. This was in the 90s. And it was Robert's Rules of Order. It was, the running of a meeting, planning your agenda, planning your minutes, your responsibilities.
That's also a requirement.
But
So,
we haven't done that.
I remember Joe Sanchez doing one when Travis came out here.
yes.
Yeah, that was like right after I got elected in first.
Well, he used taking it about getting out at the party bus and not getting out notices for meetings. I mean, honestly.
So fire.
Yeah, it was his,
Well, I mean, Travis took over a good portion of like what are the districts, how they became about, the whole Dust Bowl.
So why is there a motion to coordinate?
Well, just-
Just.
in the past, I mean, because it's more district centric. Is this something that the district should have across the board? In terms of the training, or shall we just develop one for our district specifically?
Is there something out there that we can kind of adopt and maybe even modify?
Yes.
And then we can conduct our own training or?
Yeah, like I feel like we've never had a good, strong orientation packet
Mhm.
for the board
Yeah.
members in general. Others SWCDs in the mainland, they have it together.
Well, I'll tell you, me coming in, I never had any of that, and I just had to wing it all the way through till I get familiar with it.
And that would help, like, with the
Yeah.
the new.
I don't know what it is, so.
Yeah, no, that's,
See?
that's the
We
first,
use education.
we had to figure that out. Like lucky we were able to go to these offline and things, and I was asking, like, what do you guys think? What's the purpose of your,
Yeah.
like I had to
Very
learn and research why, what is a conservation district for?
So look, this is not a mandate on you guys, it's something you're talking you want. It's not a legal mandate for you, is it? Because if there's a legal mandate, there should be a prescribed thing. But if it's not a legal mandate, then it's something you want, it's something that could easily be put together where we could do through Zoom, we have someone speaking about what solar water districts are, what kind of things they do throughout. We're gonna have someone from UOG speaking about what are your partners and how do you work with them and stuff like that. And I mean, and really it would take just coming up with a PowerPoint of exactly where is the North right now? What has the North done in the past 8 years? And what is, and where are you and what is your strategic plan? And boy, that's an overview of some of the old members to the new. And that again, we could do that in just a couple of PowerPoints, but it could take maybe 2 hours sometime. And just put this time together where you have a person from the state speaking, maybe two.
There's a national association, the president always has the guy on standby right there, the Robert, I forgot what they call that position. He's the guy like,
Oh, yeah.
the expert for the, yeah.
The sergeant at arms.
he's the, no.
You mean
he's the
parliamentarian?
There you go, the parliamentarian, yeah, he's always there, ready to answer any Robert Rules questions that come up.
We got paid $20,000 to tell them that the number is the same.
But I believe it is a legal mandate that.
It is.
Then you need to know exactly what it is, because honestly, I think we could put together something for the group. And that it's to sort of bring everybody on the page one together. But I think we could do it by bringing in 2 or 3 different people to speak on different things. It would be nice to have someone from the legislature speak to us on the critical assertion points for changing legislation. You want to change the laws, both for the co-op and for you.
Okay, so if I may, sorry, Dr. Bob. So in the law, and it is referenced in Title V GCA, Boards and Commissions, Section 4311(6). Sorry, my numbers are, but I'll just read the first. Development of a training and curriculum. Each board or commission shall have an educational program established to prepare its members for the duties of the board or commission to which they are appointed. So that's, each educational program shall be established within 90 days of the enactment of this section by the director of the agency.
And as I was saying, I know loosely after I got the first time I was serving in here, Travis came out, right? Thomason came out from NRCS, and then he did it with Joe Santos together to say, what's the mission of the districts, how it was created, why we have it, and then like, what are our positions? Like, what's the, remember, I was wondering, what does legislative and policy do? And that's, I was like.
So I'll share this law with everybody.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I know there's grant funding that NRCS wants to give to the
Yeah,
district
that's right.
to develop an educational program just like this
Make it.
across the Pacific Island. So
So,
Dr. Bob,
yeah. And I'm the chair for the Pacific Islands currently, so that's a good thing.
so
we
they
can
want to
do,
give
right?
this money to
Yeah.
us to help develop a program.
So what are we talking? Maybe a 2-hour training? Is that what you want?
Yeah.
Well, it's very subjective there, right?
Just
No,
like an 8 hour.
that's, when I hear that, that's what I think. 2-hour training about what does this board do?
Yeah.
And I can see every board needing that. I
And
mean,
it's the chairperson's duty to report it to the governor of Guam that we take this training. But yes, it needs to be
I can
established.
see that could be something fairly easily done. I mean, we would look at the history of the Southern Solar and Water District, where, I mean, you didn't always reside at UOG. For a brief period, you were at Department of Ag. Prior to that, for decades, you were with the predecessor, the NRCS, and the predecessors to NRCS. Soil Conservation Service and Farmers Home Administration back in a long time ago.
And then the positions. what are those for? That's really all we have to, as long as we stay.
Oh, so you also want to know what is the duties of secretary treasurer?
Yeah, that's what it said.
On the base.
So anyone wanted to plead?
Isn't it under a committee already?
It should be under district operations. But we've
Or that could
never,
even be under educational.
I mean, I could
Because
pull
it is
it,
for.
yeah. But it does have to be done.
How much does the feds have to give to do this?
They do it, they said name your price.
Let's name the price.
So I'll share that email. But it sounds like a very fun project. They said to also include travel expenses, just saying. Travel to the other islands for research.
Oh, I
purposes.
see, no, for training, they want us to take the horse and pony show out to the islands. Okay.
Also collect information.
Do the other islands have conservation district?
Yes,
Do they really?
well,
Well,
CNMI.
We just worked on it last week.
Well, we're building it, and then the local government stopped funding them, and they died.
So we did get the CNMI back on board. We're working with Palau. And that was Guam that pushed this.
Pohnpei would probably be your strongest place to be,
Yeah.
because NRCS was headquartered in Pohnpei.
Mhm.
And so they did the most work there, and there's very vibrant farmer groups still in Pohnpei that would be easy to draw.
Isn't, what's his name? Remy Park from Pohnpei also?
Yes,
Yeah, right.
Or yeah.
or yeah, I think it's yeah.
Or yeah,
Really, no, he's yet.
yeah. Well, that's good too, because those guys are,
It's Rivian, he worked out, no, he doesn't.
not right now.
Not even.
That's just busy. with
Every guy.
everything. Yeah.
So quick question. So when you talked about the other islands being involved in this board of directors educational training program or program training. It wouldn't be just for us and the north, it would encompass
It would have been,
all of the islands.
that would be the
So
end.
how many people roughly are we looking at to participate?
Well, you try to get 10 on an island. If you wanted to form a district, which is what the national wants, is to form a district, you would need to have about 10 farmers starting to end up with 5. You would need representatives from, in their government, the Department of Commerce and Ag kind of work hand in hand on this thing. And so it would be good to have a few people from each of those, because you don't know where it would be sponsored out of, and it's sort of a little dependent on each island, but I mean, the lead would probably be the Department of Ag's thing. And you'd want to get your extension guys. I don't know how much NRCS there, do they even have any presence there anymore in those islands?
In,
Pohnpei,
yes,
they do.
okay, for sure.
Yeah, they even Palau, they, as a matter of fact, when we went there.
Oh, that's right, they now have
the-
people there,
American
yeah, and they've always been very strong in American Samoa.
One of those ladies
That's
that
more
traveled,
American
wasn't
Samoa's
like
like
she was staying there, she was being assigned at the time, so.
It actually would be, and the American Samoa still has soil water conservation districts going, I believe.
Yeah,
We're just
well,
not in touch.
they're working on that one too, but it's hard to get in there. I think their flight is only either once a week, twice a week, right? And it's, well, it's hard.
Now, the thing about American Samoa is, and NRCS was, when I was working with the districts, in the mid 2007-8, is the problem NRCS was having is trying to bring a national program into a very dominant chief culture. And where the roles are really that they're wanting government agencies and identify people, but the problem is they can't identify people under the chiefs, and they haven't. So the leadership was always, the talking chief would be the leader, and that just didn't fit with the American model. And they were running into problems with that. But they have very aggressive use of the federal programs. I think your foot was pretty heavily engaged in American Samoa at that time.
Palau has a similar issues too, but they have the government,
Right,
but they still have their chiefs that
right. It's
hold a lot of sway.
even more so in Samoa in or maybe it's that there's less harmonious working between the two of Samoa. They really do, particularly as they were going out from the mainland.
That's why they don't have birthright citizenship.
Oh, really?
because of the chiefs.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know.
they didn't want to go that route because that would take away their powers, I guess.
Anyway, though, there was a group of people who were identified and we brought them here from Samoa, but they were outside of Guam. They were, at the time, we were more heavily engaged in it than CNMI. That's kind of been flipped now. CNMI seems to be more heavily engaged. But America Samoa, they had like thousands of farmers because they counted, they didn't stop counting their subsistence producers. So they literally had something like 1,800 farmers on their formal farmer list. Whereas Guam was,
Well, that's probably because they're
Dropping
mostly
theirs every
surviving
year.
off those farms.
yeah, exactly.
You know,
No, they were counting all their subsistence farms.
yeah.
We stopped doing that in the 80s, and then we have steadily reduced the number of farmers we monitor and report on.
Okay, so what we're doing here.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and share that information received from NRCS with the board on that possible development of the educational program for the Pacific Islands, but in terms of our meeting our local
Or-
mandate.
Yeah. And then we can,
Yeah, so I wasn't sure, because
Maybe.
Yvonne's question, I wanted to make sure that I did understand that, so. When I'm understanding at least the law, it was more, unless I'm not understanding it right, it was after, it's for us, our board, to basically be educated on what our board is and what are the positions and how it's run.
what we
Yeah.
do.
Right, so it's really just our thing here.
Yes.
It's not
That's the
necessarily
law.
That's the law, that's the law. right,
Law is
okay,
very simple.
Right,
We could sit and have a meeting and make a PowerPoint and do it.
It's-
What you gotta do by the law is in my head. We can sit down and talk and just fill it in by your subcommittees and put it all up on a PowerPoint, so everybody's agreeing to the same point with what Erica knows of the current projects. I think between the history, the role of the board, and the role of the districts, and then we could do that part with then bring in someone from outside talking about, well, how does a district in a small rural county in Georgia operate? What do they do? And sort of get an idea of how they do. I think we could put together something that meets the law. That would be the first step towards what they
Right.
want to
okay,
get.
so I'm understanding that correctly.
Okay.
We don't, yeah.
So that's.
Then we go
to
to
Law is
We
just-
could, but I'm saying, that's not necessarily a
Yeah.
requirement that we have to do. We just
But
say-
honestly, if we wanted to just meet the law, we could declare a special
Yeah.
meeting for 2 hours one evening and just do this thing. Just give me a couple hours morning so that I can pull together an initial PowerPoint. Then have an hour to get with Erica to add in the details of the current
Yeah.
ongoing, what's in play. And honestly, you can meet that requirement. I mean, it's very, the roles of the secretary, the roles, it is worth us going and talking about what is the role of the chair, what is the role of the secretary, what is the role of the treasurer, and then what is the role of subcommittee heads? And
Right.
those are, it's not bad to have
Which-
everybody on the same page.
Which I believe that's, I'm again, going back to a few years ago, that was what Joe what did and Tom Travis did downstairs, right? Yeah, that was basically it. So they did do it. It's just now we're trying to do our own, a new one, or
Yes.
Oh, one of the things though that I do have a beef with the past districts is. They said they can't do minutes because they don't have staff. And that's just complete BS. I mean, we rotate in almost every committee I'm on, we rotate people taking minutes, but we generate minutes from every meeting. I mean, the basic minutes are what is moved, who makes the motion, who seconds it, the motion, and reporting that. And we should be getting that. And a basic treasurer's report is also a very basic thing that you don't need staff for. And this is where I'm bumping with the North right now and with Hope before, because they kept saying, if I don't have staff, I can't. I'm like, no, you don't need staff. You take on this role. This is the thing. And it's just some basic getting notices out. And but I think, yeah, we can do this because I think it's sort of steering off track about 5 or 6 years ago, where if you didn't have staff, you couldn't function, was the belief. That's just,
yeah.
the district's operated for a long time with no staff.
Okay, so I was just wanting to clarify to make sure, because I know before.
So,
moving-
in terms of moving forward, Dr. Bob, shall I can help you. Are we
Yeah,
gonna
if you want to do it in January, we could do it before the semester begins. I think this is something we could do in the coming month, and we could get a very basic thing. You could give that PowerPoint to NRCS and say, now, why don't y'all enhance this with knowledge from, or maybe we could even do a Zoom where we sort of go through a PowerPoint of what would you, and come up with something from somebody who might talk about, and I'd like to get somebody from your national thing, not just who's a high level officer, but someone who's in an active county-based soil and water thing, and have them talk about what they do in their county, just so.
There's a good one there, Tom Weir, right?
Yeah.
And he's our Pacific, currently their current
Exactly.
Pacific region rep.
And just sitting down and having a talk with them and recording some of the stuff that they do as routine business. We could give that as a thing to give us some ideas of directions we might. Okay,
That's something we can, when we have one of our Pacific region meetings. Can bring it up, right?
you know,
Then we can ask all of them, you know, things get there.
when I first worked with these groups, they were aggressively promoting the federal programs to farmers and helping the NRCS recruit and engage and get them, and helping Extension do demonstrations and outreach. I mean, it was the districts working with Extension that did all the drip irrigation education in the 80s and 90s. And that's sort of gone by the wayside.
Well,
Bring it.
let's try to fix some of that.
Which brings me to the next agenda item, strategic planning. So thank you, Director Vaughn, for volunteering to look at our strategic plan and kind of see how we can update that. We do have a template, so I'll make sure I share that with everybody. Dr. Bob, I think I gave you my copy
Oh,
of the
did you?
strategic plan.
That's what you gave me?
Yeah,
Okay.
the most recent one.
That's, I printed that for you.
There you go. I think it's-
The budget, that,
I think it's before that.
this. That, the draft, what's this?
Yes, that's it. So that could possibly be helpful in our educational program, but
Okay. Yeah, this is the one that you got paid the money from NRCS to do.
no,
Oh,
that's
this-
just like an internal
Oh, okay,
strategic plan,
okay,
different from that one.
okay.
The Guam Long Range Plan's really more so focused on addressing the priority resource concerns. This really addresses how we're gonna meet our mandates and
So, so this is separate
improve
from
operation.
the first one.
Is this,
GLR.
was this the
Yeah.
one when we got Laura Solder and those guys to
It's
do
more of
that?
an internal operation.
Was this when we got Solder, remember, and we had her do that whole thing with, up at
That's
the
the,
hotel?
yeah,
That was part of the beginning part of this strategic plan, correct?
for the Guam Long Range Plan, that's more of how we'll be working with our partners to address Guam's priority resource concerns. This,
So it's
yeah.
not the same.
yes, this one's more district operations, how we're gonna improve the way we carry out our business and activities. If that makes sense, am I?
Do they
Yeah,
all, do they all have a copy of this?
No, but I will
Yeah.
share that out with everybody.
So basically what you're talking about, Glenn, is what I was talking about, where we were looking at, y'all met at the hotel and then later y'all came in with this thing that was kind of ozone-y. And then we all sat down together for a lot of the time.
That was the long range plan, right?
And we started filling in and say, hey, this is more actionable words, this is more do.
Yeah,
And
yes.
trying to get it from the ozone to concrete things.
Okay, that wasn't this.
And that's not this.
This is
Okay,
like.
So what's this?
This is like,
don't
how are
see
we
it.
going to get employees benefits, things, those.
Oh, okay, I must have missed, I don't repeat, I'm sorry.
No,
This-
it's new, so.
Okay. Oh, first time, okay, my bad. Go ahead, Dr. Bob.
We were supposed to adopt this, but Director Carol Sayama, she was the one that was taking the lead
I
of
see.
this, and I guess her time just didn't allow.
Okay,
us
so
to
Dr.
see it through.
And then, so what was that you were gonna say about this thing?
Okay, so that was the thing that you were funded to look at. How were your districts primarily going to interface with your partners, primarily get money from NRCS to sort of fund some of the things you wanted to promote in cooperation with the partners. But it was really a document from NRCS, and they only funded the aspects of it in terms of setting aside reserves to go for the programs. Then you had the strategic plan that we developed also to look at what could you do as a cooperating, the Guam Soil and Water Conservation District Strategic Plan. What I see this probably is sort of what you would want to be getting on the same page at this orientation meeting, but this might be your internal plan of action for how you are going to operate you're talking about strengthening district organizational systems and structures, getting your message out and delivering programs. And so, you know, you got operations, communications, and then outreach, I guess. Is that what I'm seeing here, that you guys have?
Like, wait, are we doing?
That's what this sounds like, it's I read it. But anyway, yeah,
Okay,
this is a task list.
either way, we're having Director
Yeah, it's a
Iman
task,
and
yeah.
Erica is gonna be doing that thing. They're gonna update that. I'll know more later because they're gonna be able to.
They got it.
Yeah, let's go ahead and.
Because it even goes down to like the different, for example, we've had committees, right? We have the policy and legislative, yeah, and education and outreach. What are the roles and responsibilities of those committees? Should those committees partner with like our northern counterpart, for example, or should we open it up to our partners and also be a part of these subcommittees to help us? You know, so I don't know. It's just, are these committees even something we need since there's only like 5 of us?
Yeah.
So
You're the
it's things like
committee
that.
of one.
Yeah.
Well,
But it's
well,
also-
do we, does it, like, in the law, right, how we have our board, and then those positions and stuff, are they required that we have to have them by law?
No,
No.
Okay,
No, yeah.
so, yeah, shoot, let's go restructure. No, that's great, because I always thought that they were required to have, you know.
No, but see, I believe it was created like that so that you're sort of like divvying up some responsibilities
Yeah.
around.
Well, even back till school, in middle school and high school, we have these clubs and
Yeah.
it's all in that order, so.
Yeah,
I just thought that you have to have them and then they have these positions and.
so we can
kids
develop
always-
any kind of subcommittee that we
Yeah.
want.
So,
Or working group or whatever you want to call
In school, you had a ton of people, and so you had lots of people you could place.
yeah, definitely.
When you've got a small group like this, and it's kind of like my union board as well, we have small, we're only 7. And what we do is we have these working groups, that's what you're calling committees, basically.
Got it.
And you have a person who is chair or head, but that doesn't mean that person's the committee. All that person does is calls a special meeting. And then as many directors as are interested in that topic, come and join and work. And, you know, like we just had to redo the comprehensive faculty evaluation system. So I had one of my members was sort of the lead person that would do the doodle list to come up with a time that people who were interested could meet. But it's the responsibility of everybody to be on every committee to some degree or another, and it's just one person. Keeps the ball rolling.
That way one person's not doing all the work.
No, that person is just keeping the ball rolling, say, hey, we haven't met in 2 weeks, or we haven't, well, in our case, you haven't met in the past 2 weeks. You guys might be met in the past month, but you need to meet. Can we have a meeting on Tuesday night or Wednesday night next week to work on this topic? And that's sort of what I think y'all. So
Yeah,
That's
it
what we're
sounds,
trying to do.
it does. Now I think I'm very clear. So I'm actually ready
Empowering
to
our
move.
partners.
I'm actually ready to move to a point, right, Director Vaughn and Erica, to really to revisit and restructure and see what best fits our board so that we can
Task
have,
force.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly good with that because I know you guys always keep us, at least for me, like boom, right where I need to be. So yeah, that would be a great.
Yeah,
I-
this
I'm-
would feed into the educational. Program training.
I moved to appoint Director Iman and Erica to look at our structure, our strategic plan and how we're gonna do our internal district committees and leads.
All right, I second that motion.
it.
Thank you, guys. That was
Anything
so
else?
much.
All in favor?
Aye.
And of course, I'll be there to be
And maybe don't-
their leg
You're-
in
Don't
case they
call them
need it.
committees, call them working groups, that might be, because
Yeah.
that allows for more flexibility.
See, in our national association, we're actually changing a lot of that. Because they're called RPGs there and all that. Now we're eliminating all kinds of
That's it.
things. There's only gonna be a limited amount and then.
Feels like less burden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a committee generally implies a solid set group of people who are gonna do this task till it's finished, but a working group is a little more flexible.
Mhm. And they have a specific task.
Leads of working groups.
Cool, I'm glad for that.
And then they can dissolve and you can make a new one, I mean.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Right. So since we're in the process of changing.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Erica.
Eric.
Okay.
I just had one question before you leave her report, because you gave out this grants and thing on this, so you've got a huge amount of money, 253,000 coming down to work with department, primarily it looked like to work with Department of Ag and the military on some form of an outreach, and they keep referring to something, what they call, where was it?
Reppy?
The reppy,
Well, it's the REPI is the whole thing, but you've got, they're talking about, they've got a set plan of stuff that you're following through on. I'm wondering, where is that in print of these? Because the Sentinel landscape, what is the Sentinel landscape?
Sentinel landscape, that's, I know that's a program by DOD. I know Department of Ag, they have a Sentinel landscapes project with DOD,
Because,
where it's primarily focused on Guam land.
right, but you're committed to supporting throughout this, every point in this thing, they talk about supporting the Sentinel landscape, so.
We're more on the private landowner side.
So you, because it talks about, yeah, so it would be nice to know, what is this thing?
The Sentinel,
Yeah, could you have, is there a document somewhere that
there
describes it?
is, yeah.
It's like land
It's
set
here.
aside that won't be used for development or. Won't be torn down or moved down, just conservation.
Because as they talk about it, if it's on to Guam, I mean, your role is more to work, like I said, like you said, with private, but it didn't sound like this was, it was sounded like it was referring to y'all supporting this other.
Sentinel land.
Yeah, right, and it constantly talks about you working with DOI and the partners for that. And yeah, when I first heard you, I thought you were talking about some form of an outreach with local farmers, but that's different than this.
The Sentinel.
Because the farmers aren't setting aside their lands.
No, so what happened was Adrienne Lorzell, she initially submitted an application for Guam to get the Sentinel landscapes designation, which was denied because it according to her and the group that reviewed the application, that there's not yet enough partnership between the local organizations and DOD. So this NACD REPI grant came into play as a way to help strengthen that relationship before we can get that Sentinel landscape designation.
So is Ag on board with all this?
Well,
And it shows contacts, point contacts in Ag for this.
we don't,
Oh,
yeah, where this is a district centric.
well, I'm just, it's so heavy on, I mean, you need to get yourself contacted, because this, but who gets this 253,000, you or Ag?
We do, the district, and we're going through our COG, so that they can. It's a lot of,
As a partner.
yeah.
Yeah,
Christine.
Christina would be a wonderful partner, but it would be good to, you guys just, my thoughts as I read this is. Y'all will definitely need to work with them, and I was curious, how we all able to get our COG to handle this when it's not a university thing?
Yeah,
I talked to Kathleen, she said it was okay.
She got her percentage, she's okay.
Yes. She got her 15, she's gonna be there.
and we actually foresee a lot of we're going to be working with the University of Guam a lot, like, to help us
Yeah,
with the
so
different tasks.
I think probably one of the things that my recommendation on this would be to set up a meeting, and if it's gonna be, if you're gonna work with forestry. I would just get one, I'd get the group of forestry and meet with you just on this grant and start talking about it. Because this sounds like it's definite, you got it, right? So, yeah, better get started, because you got a lot of, it's quarterly reporting, I think, right?
Yes,
So.
let's go. Now we have a,
All right, it's just when I read it, it concerned me because it's our COG money. I mean, our COG handling money, but it's not much university, but it's very heavy ag, and it's under ag working under military objectives. And so you need to be sure that at least you and ag are together and the military is okay with what y'all are saying.
yeah.
That's
especially,
the
with-
idea, the basis of the whole thing.
yeah,
I guarantee you, Adrian. spoken
Adrian.
with Christine about this already, and so they, like, off to the side, I'm sure they've discussed it.
yes, and we're actually supporting. Cause I know DOD, Adrian's group is working closely with Department of Ag, and then this effort is supposed to complement their efforts, so it's a given.
Adrian's
for both.
pulling the little puppet strings, putting this all together, so.
Yeah.
This is kind of her design anyway.
But is she still there or is she gone now?
She's-
No, she's still there.
Um, so NACD really, we've been talking about this grant for such a long time already, and NACD's like, just submit it. Just submit it, because Adrian's been looking at it and it's just been going back and forth. We've talked about it as a
Jen, right?
board,
She's the one that's asking. for it.
Yeah. and we've talked about it too. So if any changes or edits need to come, that can always be discussed with NACD. So the important thing is that they were able to get us the funding for these tasks that really would benefit conservation efforts here.
Well, it's interesting because I'm curious, with Romina on the grant, it seems to be coming down to Ralston for some private land right next to, I thought it was on ag land when I agreed to work on it. Turns out I believe it's private land, but it's right next to these reserved ag lands. And so that's $1 million grant as well that may be coming down to do some of the same type of stuff, although with an agroforestry focus. So it would be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, we've actually reached out to Dr. Romina, because there's a task there with the GIS.
Yeah.
So we'll be partnering with her group too. But yes, we'll be starting the working group on this specific grant, and yeah. Okay,
Sorry, I just wanted to know about
thanks,
that.
Dr. Vaughn.
Okay, sorry. Are we good?
Oh, sorry.
That Glenn is completing my issues.
Massachusetts. Thought that was
So-
BC. Thought that was BC.
Massachusetts state.
Okay,
Thought that was B as in BC, but in BC.
this is under old business,
Yes,
Okay.
that too.
old business. Okay, so the NACD Executive Board meeting, that was December 2nd to the 8th, of this month. And, yeah, it was a very interesting meeting to go to, and I really like that. And I like the fact that we're now sitting up there in that level of the organization, because it really brings a lot of attention for us here, right? And, you know, now we know all the players, so to speak, right? Anyway, we did a lot. I'll just run through. I can't really like tell you a lot of the things that they were deciding, because actually I wasn't a board member. I was just called in to be like an onboarding, because my term doesn't start till after the February meeting. But the sub they decided on this, they wanted to wait, because the president will be the one to put that out in the annual meeting, whatever decisions they talked about and all that, so. But it was really good. I was treated very good by everybody there, like really good. It was really nice being there, and they were all expressing how much they were glad to see me there, meaning us, right? It's always about us, right? And yeah, we did a lot. We went through, of course, a regular board meeting, agenda, typical stuff, right? And so we can skip that, because that's not too much of a thing, but we did visit. They had two groups. We broke into two groups. One went to the Congress and one went to the USDA headquarters. And I was part of the USDA headquarters, right? And so the team, our USDA we had a pretty good team, because we had Kim LaFleur, who's going to be the president in February. Gary Blair, him, he's all the board, the second vice president or something. Tim Palmer and a few others. Tom Weary was there. And Jeremy, where he went with us, and we went into USDA, and we were lucky that we were in one conference room, and they came to us. We didn't have to go around to their offices, so it really saved a lot of time. And even them, they talked a lot there, they had more time to do, and it was fairly informal the way they were talking. They had a lot of good things to say, and this one guy, Dr. Homer Wilkes, he only said one thing to Jeremy, goes, give me a number, a big one, and a plan. That's what he said, man. So, and they're talking about a lot of program stuff, like lots of it, so. You know, those things will come out probably in our annual meeting. I do have, they provided us talking points to share with them in case we needed other things to bring up. And what I'll do is, because I did a lot of scribbling, I'll clean this up maybe, and I'll just give you guys so you can see the kind of stuff that was brought up. But I was able to speak a little bit. Everybody was like really fast, right? How when you throw in your, so I did bring up about the NRCS programs and how a lot of people are not qualifying for them for all these reasons, right? So I was, you know, telling them how we need to come up with a different way of approving and processing these applications so we can get these farmers into the program, you know, not trying to make them fit it or, you know, let the program fit the farmer, so to speak, right? So I one of the things I did bring up was about having a local board or some kind of group with NRCS and maybe the districts to kind of be the alternate approval process, right? Because we know the farmers, right? We know them, we know their history, all that. So give us that option, you know, because I'm also part of the county commission for the FSA, right? And Dr. Barber is a part of that.
Not anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
pretty soon.
not anymore.
Yeah. But we have a lot of,
Yeah.
there to approve certain things, even though the state or whoever,
Yeah, no.
we can decide it ourselves whether we approve this farmer's thing or, you know. So I said, there should be some kind of mechanism there for us in the programs. So the equips and what's that CSP, you know, all those things can be, you know, get these farmers in, man. That's why we're not getting participation, because they lost interest already, right? And so they really acknowledge that. And even some of these other guys in the group, they also assisted in bringing those issues up for Guam and other territories and islands. So it was pretty good. I took a picture of our Guam flag hanging in their main hall. It's like a huge hall. Right in the middle there, like a rotunda kind of thing, but it's not a round thing, but it's huge, and they got all the flags. And then just right before I was exiting, I said, oh, there's Guam flags. I took a picture of that. I'll share that with you guys. So it's good, and we had fun. The people were very professional, and I just need to get more ties though. I need ties when I go to those meetings. But yeah, man, it was good. We did then the other group went to the Congress, and they met like a bunch of senators and Congress people there too. So there's a lot going on. And if everything stays the same, there should be a lot more funding for a lot of things coming down. You know, stuff like climate change? What do they call that?
Climate smart commodities.
Smart commodities, there you go. Stuff like that, there's a lot of money, urban agriculture, forestry, tons of stuff coming up, so. There's gonna be a lot of things, if the problem is the new Congress is gonna make change there, right? So we'll see, but otherwise it was really good learning for me, how those guys do their thing, and I'm glad that I'm doing that, because it's let me see if there's anything. What I'll do is I'll clean this up, and then I'll just write it so you guys can see some of the talking points that not just me, but the other members brought up to their attention, so you guys can understand this more. But for the most part, like I said, the president wants to be the one to share that with the general board. So yeah. Oh, and I just wanted one more thing. Pacific region was the highest for all the dues in the nation. We were 8,000 higher from the previous. We really we increased, and out of all the regions, the Pacific was the top one. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think just Mr. Chair, I know that we spoke about it, about the leadership development, how NACD.
Oh, yes.
Encourage the directors.
Yeah, there's a big thing in the NACD, for leadership development, so that, they're talking about board members and even staff. There's a lot of things about staff too that they want. So, you guys are all pretty young to step into those roles, every one of you guys. And you wanna, jump in there and get some of that, and then so you can start moving up too, right?
I forgot the name of that guy. I remember I was hoping to do, I didn't know I didn't do staff.
yeah.
Remember he wanted us to do the next generation thing. I was like, oh yeah, our staff rep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they do the all time. I was like, okay, shoot.
That'll be good for all of our directors.
Hopefully.
And then now that chairman is representing as the executive member for the Pacific region, there needs to be some discussion, not now, like about who will be representing
Yeah.
Guam.
Well,
Pacific.
like
region.
right now, I'm still not officially in the national board, executive board. So going to New Orleans, right? So I'm still there as a Pacific, but probably they're gonna say, just step aside and let somebody do it. So that's why I'm hoping maybe you can, if you come, it'll be good for you to jump in there and.
Yeah, she said it'll move more discussion later. That's what she said. It's what her concern, more discussion.
That's, and then we have to include the North somehow,
Yeah,
in that, because
We'll
it's
give
the
them the-
representation. for-
the diversity,
When is that? When is the meeting coming up?
that's in October, February,
Second week, like
Like
the
for,
11th.
I have it here,
Like that.
11th,
So
starts on the 11th. to
So
the
I-
15th.
are you saying there that because you're not gonna be the Pacific region chair because you're not on the executive?
I'll be the Pacific region representative in the executive board.
Got it. So you're taking Tom Weary's.
Yes,
Got it.
yeah, he's,
So now we need, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So you would have a Guam representative.
yeah.
Right.
And there's always that primary and alternate.
But that's not to say that whoever, like, if you did it, you're the Pacific chair, no,
No.
you're gonna represent Guam now.
Yeah, yeah.
In those,
Your capacity now.
Yeah.
Now, at the
Yes.
moment, Yeah,
Yeah.
the present moment.
so there is already the plan, see, so I was the only one, when we went to Maui, or my position was the only one that we held an election for in Maui, because our Pacific region, we elect our own, right?
Mhm.
So they elected me to be the rep into the executive board, but they tabled the chairman for the Pacific region until February, February is when they're gonna have that election. Now, there's what's her name, from Oregon? Oh, Prigsby, right, or no, yeah, right, Terry Prigsby.
Yes.
So she put her hand in there to run for the Pacific region. So she's there,
The guy,
it's open to anybody, actually.
what's his name, still wanted to sit in that position? The one that
See,
he was-
Gary, or
Was it Gary?
the older guy,
Yeah,
right?
the one you replaced.
Yeah, Erica, what's
What's
his
his
name in Washington?
Doug, yeah,
Doug.
Doug,
Okay,
Yeah,
Doug
but-
Rushton, right?
yes.
but they're really interested in the newer faces,
No, I see.
because Doug's been there too, or, in the past, so, I mean, he could run, if he wants to run, he could throw his
Yeah.
name in the thing too, anybody can.
Okay,
But so that will be coming up in February. And then there will be other election of officers overall. But for some reason, they decided to do the executive rep in Maui. Most of the time, it's all done in the February annual meeting. We break up into our region meetings, but they decided to do it there, so. Anyways, so I'll be sworn in after the meeting ends. There, like when this thing is done, I gotta talk to them because I'm not exactly sure. What date is that, the 15th, or is it 16th, or is it, some? And where we stay back for the executive meeting, and then that's when they do the swearing in ceremony and all that. So,
Exciting.
yeah, man, it was nice to go there and do that. Yeah.
Good
So
job, sir.
I think this is, from my understanding, this is the first time, this is the Pacific Islands. I don't know about Hawaii, I never heard, but for us out here, this is our first time in the executive board, so
Yeah,
that's a big thing. So yeah, Dr. Southern, we've been doing things.
Yeah, now let's promote our programs.
Yeah, that's the plan.
that was the idea.
And the Irish pub had good beer. And it was just like 2 blocks.
So in your, so in your report, you just I get the legal fees and all that.
Yeah, what?
Accept your report of that.
Yeah, so yeah, and I can provide this and then you guys can put it together and then you can all read on it. So I'm still pending my trip report with the, like I have to reimburse the NACD for the hotel because they actually paid it all. So I didn't have to pay for it when I got there. So that was done and then we just write my travel.
Yeah, so
And,
NFCD will reimburse the travel
yeah.
expenses, so that's
So,
great.
so will we go ahead and accept this trip report with the edits, the cleanups it has to do, and then the reimbursements?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and move to accept this trip report, with your cleanups, and you'll send it to all of us, and then your reimbursement with us.
Okay, second,
I said.
thank you. Anything else? Nothing? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
Remember when you just were crawling?
Oh, you remember how much I was fighting Angie and you guys about beating the chair?
Yeah.
Remember?
They grow us.
I literally just
Yeah.
basically walked in the door.
They knew what they were doing when they did that.
Good job.
All right.
So that, yeah, okay,
Let's keep it up.
yeah, let's do that. Okay, where are we at?
New business.
New business.
New business, okay, the FY 22 annual report, up for approval, Erica.
Okay, so it's that time again of the year. I'll go ahead and send that draft over for the board to review and then we can approve for next, during the next meeting. The University of Guam Business Office did send a correspondence today, just kind of giving us a friendly reminder that our budget request for 2024 will be due February 10th. So we'll have to have that conversation as well.
Okay,
But we did submit our FY 2021 report to the university. Dr. Bob, you got a copy of that too, right?
Yes. Remember one of our first meetings, the annual report.
So you gave it in print, no digital.
No digital, it should be on the website, VOG's website.
And then Dr. Bob, even digitally, how do you keep up with all this stuff? Did you not go on?
I don't, as long as it gets to the UOG people, that's all I worry about.
So we're good on that.
okay,
Okay, so moving on.
so
The reason why we're here.
the FY 2023 budget amendment approval. Okay. Okay,
Are there any questions as far as the budget categories? I know we did have some discussion regarding maybe bumping up the conservation associate salary to 18,000.
so are you gonna make that change now to reflect it in this?
You
Or?
should,
Yes,
Okay,
which means you're gonna have to drop something by 6,000.
Well, I was also questioning the GACD membership here at the bottom for 5,000.
yeah, so yes, so I'm sorry, I should have clarified that.
That
Look at
18,000.
so the proposed 03/01/2022, that's what was initially, the next column is what is the new
Yeah, so this is
proposal.
last
all right.
column, so-
Okay,
and it's not there.
all right. So we need to- and then-
But that was for the hiring position you guys are saying. What was that, the 18,000 for?
Conservation associate.
The outfit for that position, right? Taking the,
So I have it up here on the screen.
that's the 12. Well, you see how we had the 12 there? That wasn't inclusive of like how Dr. Bob was giving us the info on the whole retirement and all that percentage and all that stuff. No, that
Yeah.
was just a straight base 12.
The only benefit that we have, which is allowed by our law, is the employer share FICA. And that's right here, this 3,672. So that's already incorporated. So now we're short
Yeah, we're short 6.
like 2,339. Yes,
So the advertising, I know you
yes,
guys have to do that legally,
yes.
that's the law, but does it have to be printed? Like, once you guys establish a website, isn't that sufficient?
I
I was
remember you guys
hoping-
looked into that. I remember that there was something that we were trying to save money on that because it was so
Yeah.
much.
I know Senator, I believe it was the speaker who was trying to push for that, to, to do away with the print. And I just don't know yet if that was something that was brought to the table or the floor for
But at the time, it
approval.
was, your answer was yes. At the time, when we were looking into saving that money, we had to have it printed.
Yeah,
Oh, because like the Invasive Species Council, we never
Do
do
it.
any print advertisements. We do it on our website,
Is
we
it,
do
is
it
it
on our
though?
social media.
Would
and then
that
we
be
do it to the
because-
Guam
portal,
portal, and then that's it. You don't have to do
Yeah.
any.
yeah,
You want to say 6,000 a year.
because that's a big chunk
That
of our
was,
funding.
and I remember we specifically had you guys look into it
Yeah.
for that reason. So I don't know, is that because you guys just, they don't check or, you know what I mean? I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there.
There's nothing that it's
Yeah.
legally says that it has to be printed, it just needs to be advertised to the public on something that's publicly accessible, it's not.
Really? Okay, well, maybe we'll revisit that.
Yeah,
'cause I
we'll
remember
revisit
she looked into it. We specifically had
Yeah.
this conversation.
Yeah.
We were like, "Dude, how much money?
And
The
I
prisons
believe,
already have it on our website.
I know the attorney general.
The newspaper anymore.
Yeah.
I know, no, we're on the same side as you. We didn't want to pay it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we didn't want to pay it though, Dr. Dula, but I remember
Just to be
Erica
safe.
looking into that.
but this is for 2 meetings a month.
Oh, yeah, then we backed down, right?
I'm not sure if the board is still wanting to have 2 meetings a month.
No, I remember we backed.
Well,
We
you
reconsidered.
you had grants that had deliverables that you have to do, and that would be why you would do various meetings when you were originally talking about it. If you don't have those, then
Yeah.
I think y'all need to look seriously at this advertising thing, because I do think he may be right. I think that while post-COVID is allowing for maybe not having to go through the print paper, and maybe we can do it through some form of, if you have a known members list, if you could advertise to, which you should now have from those who voted, you should be able to advertise to your members and partners.
But that's including the monthly meeting advertising.
I think so. I would like to check it out and find out. I mean, this pay in the paper.
Basically, that's what that's for, right? Erica?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Not counting any
it
job.
would be well worth trying to find out other ways. And does the paper have a way of putting it on their online version cheaper than going through the print version? We just get it on the paper's online advertising. That would be something worth asking.
I agree. Okay,
Because if you could be PDN advertisement, I mean, PDN, online, have where it goes into their community announcements, but it's not necessarily in the printed paper.
Being conservation
It just-
district.
Right.
So much more convenient too,
Yeah.
because in order to get it printed, it has to be in at a certain time, otherwise you miss the deadline and.
Is there a possibility that may have changed, Erica, from the last time you guys looked into?
I'll take a look because it might have changed.
You would want to look at COVID public announcements to find out what's been meetings.
Yeah, I'll definitely take
I
a
mean,
look.
the regions are still having to put theirs out a week ahead of time. And I don't know if they're going in print version or if they're just going online, but I do.
Well, I'm wondering because they're probably coming from the angle that not every person 100% as a public entity has technology.
And I think that's the
Available.
reason why, because
That's
I
just
see there
because-
is, the agencies are still printing their.
Yeah.
advertising. They're still out there.
But Dr. Dula is saying they're not per se because they have it all in their other means of communication, but that.
It
doesn't
may
mean that
have
they're not
changed,
supposed
actually.
to. I was saying maybe there's a chance it could just be like, well, we already got it out there, so.
And if you're to do that, then I would go start going through and getting the announcement to Jonas's group and have it on the UNG website as well as the rest.
So yeah, that would be great, because there's a 6,000 there.
Yeah, you know, again, that's a significant portion, that's 1/20th of your budget.
Mhm. There you go, take out the, well, we can't now, but we already our contract.
Oh, but it's good because it's stuck in miscellaneous anyway, so.
So yeah,
Which one?
we can move it around.
you're good.
Yes.
Okay,
So that can be.
so shall we drop this down so that we're not in this deficit?
Which one?
The print advertisements.
Yeah,
Well, you got,
We have to
if
be
you gotta
sure.
pay for it, you
Yeah.
gotta keep it in your budget until you know what you're doing.
Do we know? Yeah.
Now, if you wanted to drop something, I'd look at something that's purely discretionary and up to you. I mean, you know, you got 52,000, is that 52,000 for travel? Is that what I'm seeing? Yeah. Wait, no. 37,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. The drive for, that's not a lot for the drive for the first year.
Erica,
mhm,
that spring fly-in meeting,
yes,
so I'm thinking that's my thing, right?
mhm,
So if it is, then the NACD is
Will pay
probably
for that?
paying for that.
yes.
It's already by that time you'll be.
Oh, but we still need to front it, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well, if you're.
but it's still reimbursement, so.
Yeah, I was
We
gonna say,
can pull it.
you don't have to list it in your.
We don't
budget.
have
It's
to.
gonna be
Yeah.
reimbursed.
So there you go, right?
Yeah.
So now we're in the good.
Would that include a lot of these other meetings that he's?
All my
under
trips,
travel?
all
Right,
my
are
trips
those,
covered, yeah.
what are the budget, is the budget accounting for that? Like,
It's
for example,
accounting.
like the annual meeting attendees, right?
Mhm.
Is that including, is that supposed, is that number inclusive of his trip?
Pretty
Most of
much,
those
yes.
meetings are- Most of those meetings are two people.
Yeah, so like the NACD annual meeting, that's 5 directors, pretty much 5 attendees.
Also, then it's not then, right? Oh, yes, it is, it is.
It is,
So you're answering, okay, so then, yeah. we
but the
could-
Pacific region is like for 2 attendees, same as the summer meeting, 2 attendees. I mean, it's not specifically
Right,
chairman,
right.
but it's for,
But it's that number of people.
yeah,
So we could remove one, right? to some
We
degree,
could.
Because he's accounted for them paying. If
Yeah.
if. all
If
of
we
those
need.
attendees were budget put together.
but I feel
We
like this
could.
is a good,
Yeah, we could do that.
Look at the meetings where there's the less. Where you just need a voice, the max you would need to send is 2. Where you're learning stuff that you're bringing back, that's where you send more.
That's the
people.
annual
But
meeting.
when it's just going for
Yeah.
voice, one person is adequate.
yeah.
And.
Which he's,
And if he's paid, you know.
If he's
then-
paid, yeah.
then you
So
could
we
have
can
one
drop
or two
these.
Others, say someone misses the annual, maybe they go to one of the
Right.
others.
that's
But
what
you
I was,
always make big savings in the travel.
yeah, that was what I was trying to articulate.
So do we agree? We'll just drop this
Yeah.
down.
Drop the whole thing.
So we're basically saying that we're gonna budget for that one other
Yeah.
person on those.
Ooh, I like that number.
Like summer meeting, yeah,
Yeah.
regional meeting even, but
Give yourself a raise.
Now, just be prepared, we have not yet seen airline tickets brought back down to normal level.
they went up.
I know they're outrageous, and so what you got for travel per diem and airfare is probably just enough for airfare, but hopefully it'll normalize again. I don't
Can
think.
you,
That's
can
your
you at least
salary.
put in
The third.
government per
Yeah.
diem in there? For like the highest rate, I think that would be,
Yeah.
you get 264. And then 86, I think, for meals and
Mhm.
incidental.
Actually, they're pretty good. The Long number that is.
300, right?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. And depending on the dates. So do we
Yeah.
have, if we have set dates on that, we can actually look at the per diem
Yeah,
already.
I know for sure for the annual meeting. Pacific and region, I mean, Pacific, that usually happens in September.
Yeah, late
Yeah.
September.
And then summer's in July.
The annual meeting's in February.
The annual
Coming up.
meetings, yeah, February, the mid
So
and
next
July.
Yes.
Summer is July.
Next year, 20.
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes. Yes.
Summer's July.
Okay, so that's the March. That's 11.
Yes, yes, that's the one. The Louisiana.
Yeah, actually, we should
No.
start locking these
February
there.
11th is-
Are you?
And the summer meeting is in
You don't have
July. I don't have the
dues,
exact
membership.
date.
What's that?
We have to revisit that
Oh, yeah. Okay.
GACD and work with the legislature because there may be some.
There's a lot of disagreement between the lower north and south and the membership and all that stuff. It was crazy. You remember that?
Well, that was under the previous Northern Board.
Yeah, true.
Under Hope, but how about now?
Yeah.
I don't know, we haven't even met and talked about that.
But it's usually like.
We need the
July.
GACD to be recognized in our mandates, so
Yeah.
that way the board is not.
Those are solid date, months.
That was the whole, officers are automatic.
Okay, so this is our new
I think got plenty.
budget.
Got surplus. Went from deficit.
Is it wise for us to keep this kind of as a cushion? Do we have to
Yeah, 'cause I don't-
program that?
Yeah. Just to be sure.
So what you want to burn it, put it back in so that we're not that much in surplus for viewing, but then we know.
Maybe
that
we
we're
can
not gonna
put
have to
it-
cover-
Here,
When you submit your budget, you want it to be exact.
Okay, so why don't we then, put
But-
those,
Yeah.
let's put it here.
So if you're not doing the GACD, all that strategic plan work, you guys probably need to go back and look at how, what you can adopt as a Southern. I wrote grants based that I've got funded now to support those GACD. If there is no GACD, since the GACD was primarily Southern, maybe you guys need to look at bringing some of those elements into your. plan.
yeah, no, we have to do it by law, we have to, it's just, I think, how it's gonna be structured was what you remember, we got all of our advice from you.
Well, no, my whole point is, maybe there's not gonna be a GACD, and maybe it's just you're gonna follow through the plan we developed as the Southern.
That's what we're doing now with our DOD.
Well,
Right.
I'm just joking.
That and
Don't we have to have a GACD?
No,
Oh, yeah, no, that was a non.
nonprofit.
Profit, sorry.
it proved useful for various things.
Right.
No, the main thing for that one, Doc, is that's like your springboard into NEC.
Yeah,
Every state and territory has that.
they're non-profit.
Yeah, for that, it's, that's true. We put a lot of work, in terms of real actual
Yeah.
strategic
Yeah,
plan,
we
the GACD strategic plan is the most realistic and doable. And it already has grant leveraging on multiple levels.
Yeah.
I think y'all might want to pull that back up, and then as you're talking about your strategic plan, looking at how you put the two together.
Yeah, how about we just keep going with the way that you had already had it, or we had already had it, formed. And then now that we have the new board or new officers in the north, we shouldn't have headbutting, because a lot of that headbutting was about the membership, the dues, and then the number of people at, for quorum and things like that. I don't think we'll have that issue now.
Yeah,
I don't think so. And we can still continue with the way we have all of that stuff that's even planned in.
I would say probably put on your agenda that. You get a
Okay.
GACD meeting in January.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because we still want to pursue GACD, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna invite the North to have a discussion, invite all their directors and your directors under the umbrella of GACD and just say, hey, I'd like to call a meeting, would like to. You can, I don't remember what y'all had planned and when the officers get reelected and anything up to that, but you could at least engage the current members of the North and see
Okay,
if they want to move forward with it.
so we'll just put that on.
Because I think the ones that were opposed are no longer on.
And then these two as well will be the ones kind of restructuring, so. Yeah, okay, we'll do that.
noise.
Mhm.
Okay, do we need to make a,
We want to fix that.
this looks good.
The thing about it is you don't need money in GACD.
Right here.
5,000.
Contract.
Give us 5,000 and get a grant to get you money.
And my salary.
Yeah. There's a 5,000. was supposed to be like
I
a
should.
per director, right? Something.
No, yeah.
That was something like that.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
how-
five directors, 10,000 a year that you.
Right.
This thing was planned to be used for travel, just don't use GACD funds for travel, get other things going.
Right.
Under GACD.
Yeah, it's okay, but
Because
there's also the NACDTA grant.
Oh, how much more is that?
That's like 35.
If it was 100.
That's, I was thinking make 65.
Then
Yeah.
GSCD just
But
need to-
That's if I'm working there.
So
Which I'm
the
not.
only question I have
Yeah, but-
is that, okay, no money
What
involved,
do you mean? So.
but the ethics
Well,
rule.
because I'm not, well,
is
because
that
right
you
now
can't be
I'm
a
doing
board
my.
member in a
Oh, okay.
government
So-
board,
I'm really only getting paid.
and then be a board member in a
Okay, so usually not
other entity that
Oh. okay, never-
relates to.
But I don't want to do.
Senator,
My goal is to kind of just do. So I'm not like.
Well, no, to change it.
You know what I mean? Like more focused on
So what,
one.
yeah, well, let's just meet that, right?
Yeah, but we can-
But that's-
Yeah.
It's fine right now. Wait, are you? So are you? gonna be working with you?
You can make it, or both
Yeah,
of you,
fair enough.
then you can figure out if you
Next year.
want to. But now.
So you're gonna go to this annual meeting,
The
right?
ethics thing, then depends on for your.
We'll talk about it.
Looking at it.
It's on there.
Actually, Doc, I'll tell you, Doc, you know, even when we had GACD, we were, the
No.
districts were paying
Because
for their own
you're
trips.
supposed to be your.
It wasn't GACD.
No, we didn't.
Only some,
Yeah.
certain,
Yeah.
certain ones that,
You
but
can
the
ask.
fundamental.
Pretty much know already, right?
But I think he's setting us up for the future long. We have
That-
bigger things. so.
You can't. So
Let's just
on the board,
revisit it. That way
you're
we do it, no, in
Yeah,
January.
people told me.
Kind of
supposed
to rehash all that and see where we're at with the new guys.
No, no, we'll see.
Yeah, just go.
Is there someone you can ask?
And instead of calling it as a joint, call it as a GAC, man, see what you get, response you get from them.
Yeah, even now, we're supposed to have the biannual meeting, right? That was even part of the.
Yeah.
No, but because we suspended everything.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Party
Okay.
people.
Right.
Okay, so what we did was we just threw the surplus of 8,161 to this contractual service category. In the event we do decide on
and then we can always move it.
an ag
somewhere else.
program. Yeah,
Okay,
okay, so
Like that.
I believe that needs a motion.
so I move that we approve the fiscal year 2023 operating budget amendment as amended on the screen.
Second.
A second.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, I didn't.
No, when you said it, we not realizing.
It was a question.
Oh,
It was seconded.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Who seconded it?
Dr. Lee.
Okay.
Any other discussion on that? I think we pretty much hashed it out, right?
Yeah.
So all in favor of approving the 2023 budget with amendments, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So number, item C is 2023 NECB annual meeting. So basically the budget up there already says kind of who, I mean, pretty much how many is going and whatever, right?
Yeah, we budgeted for 5.
Oh, wait, on Erica,
Yes.
on that one though, that one won't be covered by NECD for,
Not yet.
Not yet,
until
right?
After the
Okay.
meeting.
so you didn't move that one out, right?
No.
So that one
Okay.
is February 11th to the 15th,
Got it. I thought we,
but,
we're good.
Yeah, 'cause
but if we go, it
I-
would be earlier than
you
that.
know, they might do it. I
Yeah.
don't know. So if they do, that's a good,
Yeah.
We went ahead and approved that
Or-
2023 day and I wasn't sure. if
The
that-
8th.
But Erica knew what she was doing already. She knew already. It's always been my
From the
clarification.
11th to the 15th, so the 9th.
Yeah.
No, because sometimes you know. it's the-
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we
We use that day ahead.
Yeah.
It would
Yeah,
arrive
on the
same
9th,
day.
yeah. So early bird registration has been extended. This would save about $130 per each attendee, so, I don't know how many directors are
Who
planning.
wants to go? I mean, this is the time for all of us, if it takes that, if you guys are willing. This is the real meeting for everybody to be exposed to different things within the NECD. We will have our board of directors meeting there, then we also have breakout sessions in
Lots of
all
breakout
kinds of
sessions.
areas. coastal, forestry, all kinds, right? And I would actually want some of you, as a matter of fact, coastal. That's one thing that we talked about in that annual, or
The DC.
yeah, is if anybody that's impacted with coastal issues, right, for this climate. They want somebody to be participating in their committees or be at least part of that, so, you know, you're.
Yeah, I'm still pending, I'm still tentative, if that's okay, I just need to look at everything, and if I'm able to go, but postal definitely.
Yeah, okay, good. And then, of course, forestry is another one, right? That's a big one that we need someone to step into that role, someone to help fill those gaps. We want to cover as many of these things as we can. So that Guam is
Represented.
at least in our district. I can't speak for the northern, we can ask them, but. And I'm pretty sure they're gonna jump into some of them, but
Yeah.
No, it's a trip for them all to travel. I guarantee they're all jump in.
So first you want to know, how many of us are able to-
well, we we would like to know. If you're at least tentative, when are you? I know you said you're not always up to the traveling thing, but
I don't like traveling anymore.
this is one trip that we
Yeah.
would like you to attend though.
Well,
If you do any of them.
Also, Bob knows, and I told Erica that I resigned from Department of Agriculture.
Oh, I didn't know that, man.
Yeah, my last day is Friday,
Oh,
and then hopefully, God willing, my paperwork gets completed and I'm moving to EOG.
Experimentation.
Experimentation?
Wow.
No.
Which
it's
one?
Faculty.
Oh, this
It's-
one.
he's-
Yeah.
It's our,
Oh, yeah.
it's our plant pathology. It's George Well's position.
Right.
I'll be moving across the hall.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the question remains
Is that-
whether or not,
you're allowed to stick around on
Yeah.
board.
yeah.
Dr. Bob,
Oh, we had trouble with that when Roland was doing it. It was more Roland was chair and it really was specific to Roland. You're gonna have to talk. Yeah, you need to talk to Arias and Lee once you get on board about that. I wouldn't resign from the board until you get the UOG and I would go on the trip while you have the opportunity. Because you may be in line to be an advisor to the districts instead of me. The Southern Aglet.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I would go on the trip if you're not yet in UOG employment. Don't feel any guilt about doing that.
Yeah, until someone gives me a clear answer of whether or not
You need to.
I have to,
Change.
if this isn't really a conflict of interest. No, I would still love to grow up to go.
Yeah,
It's an opportunity to learn more stuff.
Yeah.
Some stuff and then
Uh,
possibilities.
Especially if there's an invasive species.
There is.
to- Or even
Yeah.
plants.
Eric is always.
I know with forestry, there's relatively a component, so I'm down to go. Where is it?
nice. Louisiana.
Louisiana.
See, and I would be, I've committed to being in the Philippines for February. Otherwise, I wanted to go last year, but
Yeah.
with systems too much going on at work.
We're still waiting on you.
And this year it's like, I can't go. So sometimes you can go and you just don't use their money, you use UOG money. Sometimes you use their money and take UOG administrative leave. Because dealing with invasive species of plant health and then they be able to go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But the membership on the board may be an issue, but we did, and I don't know whether to have a conversation with Roland, what happened here.
So what I'll do is I'll just register everyone for the early bird to lock it in, and then I'll start looking into the flights, just so. I guess the sooner you know, the cheaper it will be.
When is the deadline for the early bird registration?
Friday,
This-
this Friday, but we can always cancel that. There's no penalty. It's just to lock in that
Yeah.
rate.
As long as you're gonna do your flight.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'll look into the flights for every.
Glenn and I'm sure.
Yay,
Yeah, I'm budgeted in, I'll be. able to, I'm sure.
it should be going. It's fine.
Take my spot.
I'm
Yeah.
right here.
Or were you're not,
She has,
Taxes.
yeah.
oh, you're gone.
It's only like 3 or 4 days. You just like hop over.
I know. I'm gonna find out.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, Louisiana, Texas,
I
Step
know.
out of the car and you.
It's great.
I said this one.
It's okay. I know, I just want to go for the food.
So, we need a
I'm
motion for
just
that.
kidding. Yeah, to,
Oh, yeah, one of the guys in that executive board is a Louisiana guy, and he was pretty cool. He really took to me, he was like always coming to me and wanting to, you know. So we got a good connection. Gonna be fun.
So I make the motion to approve the director's attendance as budgeted and as scheduled, as the schedules permit.
In order to get that.
In order to get the early registration fee.
Okay.
And this is to attend the NACD annual
Okay.
meeting.
One second, any other inputs? Nothing, all in favor, say aye. Thank you. Passed again.
okay, that concludes new business.
That's it, right?
We just have the board correspondence.
Oh,
Really quick, the North requested a copy of our position descriptions.
oh,
So like for our staffers, I guess they want to use it as a template.
that's my signature. Never mind.
We should
It's
give
just
that to
us.
them.
Yeah.
Right?
That's public, it's not
Yeah.
public.
I mean, it's
information
public
anyway,
information.
So
But we still use it for our. Oh.
I have no issues with that. It's public information in any way that
They can
anyone
use that.
can access to begin with.
I would do that, but I would also suggest to them to look at our COG's positions. They have a position with the different ways on COG. how it's something in the description.
Yeah,
They make
well,
fun.
mine have three.
Something, and you guys should do that too, so there.
MED.
I think that's the concern is like, should the district have
MED.
the same position
That's
description
what it is.
or is it different?
Well, I think they could be different, but there's nothing wrong with having the same too.
I'll admit, I'll be.
It should, it helps them get moving.
Okay. And I know that the districts, you did have a joint meeting, which I couldn't attend. How did that go? Is the joint partner meeting something that we should continue as a board?
Well, you know, I did talk to Joe and I asked Joe that we could sit down and go over that so we can, if we're gonna continue it, they want us to do the January. So if we want to continue, we need to iron out some of the issues, because between Joe and I didn't know which way he was going, and he was supposed to take the lead on it, right? So we would both do our roll call. He did his first, I did ours, and then we established our quorums, and then after that, he was supposed to take over from there, but I don't know, he kept bouncing it back, and so I was kind of lost too, what he wanted to do, so that's something that needs to be ironed out. The other problem I think was that we had a lot of people there that, you know, I don't really know what they were doing. There were what's her name? Marlene brought a bunch of her veteran guys from all different kinds of veteran organizations, and it seemed like a lot of them were expecting that we were gonna give them all this kind of like opportunities, grants, and otherwise, right? And I was like, you know, they were confused too, because they were just told by her to show up. A lot of them were like, I don't know why I'm here, but you know, if you got money for me, then I was like, oh, we don't have money.
Because I didn't recognize when I walked in at the end of the meeting, I didn't recognize that people in the room.
Yeah, because that was, and even the ones on the Zoom were a lot of them were her people.
Yeah.
So it really kind of threw us off from our normal partner meeting, right?
Well, they could potentially be new partners, but no, I echo your sentiment that it seemed like they were looking for opportunities from, not necessarily from us, but from the other partners that were in there.
Yeah. Well, you know, and they could, of course, anybody can technically be our partner, right? They can always, but I don't see that that's the reason why they showed up as far as the way it looked, right? And what they were saying. But, you know, when we talk about our partner meeting, we have our established partners, right?
Yes.
And
you
that's
know,
what your real.
Yeah, that's our
should be
focus.
set for,
Yeah.
and Marlene's people should be at an open forum session.
Yes,
at the
yeah.
end.
Mhm.
I just want to, okay, so I think there is enormous utility to be gained by a monthly joint, or at least bi-monthly joint partners meeting. Because
royal pay to the partners to come to one meeting and then 2 weeks later go to the other meeting and give the exact same report and get it. It's much better if you guys had, and we were talking to 2 meetings a month, this might be a way of accomplishing something where you have a joint meeting each month that is the partners meeting of your established partners to
Yeah.
do their reports out and to get input from you guys and to look at it. And then you have your board meetings where if say forestry is working with us on something, then forestry.
Well, that's how, like today's
And work on-
meeting,
yeah.
that's exactly what that is. So any of our partners that wanted to come in and further
It's to
elaborate
further
on
go on
their
something.
thing, they're allowed
This is
to
the
come.
time, right? But then what you do is you make it clear to Joe to make clear to them, and maybe don't leave it to Joe's not an organized man. And don't, I mean. I'm long years, forgive me for being blunt, but we all have our strengths and our weaknesses. He knows every rule or law you could possibly want to know about any particular subject, but. Maybe it's to have a for the partners meeting, have a very tight agenda. That has the partners, your core reports, your grants and opportunities that are out there in the very beginning. Then into the partners reports so that they can do it. And that would honestly make it a lot easier for many of your partners to get here.
So that's the stuff that I definitely gonna
That's
bring
what I
up with
thought.
Joe and we'll try it again.
Things
And
that-
I mean, Doug, even us, that was what we wanted to do that long time, but we never, because of issues up north.
So maybe y'all take it, why don't y'all propose it, write the agenda for the January one and propose it and get it out and just send it in your correspondence to the north, say, hey, we propose this agenda, we'd like to. And y'all can rotate who leads the meeting.
No, that's the plan. That's the plan.
So he did the last one, now
Yeah.
you do the next one. So you say, hey, okay, so that's good. You lead this meeting, have a tight agenda that is set up as a partners meeting and you making people aware, not worrying about what's going on with the national and the other stuff. Focus on the things that you've got. You've got these different grants, you've got this possible strategic plan. You need to talk a little bit about setting aside meeting for the GACD, SSCD, GACD, some of those things and get that stuff done, but have your opportunities, have what you're working on and letting the partners know, and then have the partners report on their things, and then you can get into the joint business. And then you can have an open forum for people that Marlene may or others, and I think that would,
Mostly our focus, like us, you know how we conduct our,
Right.
we have our committees, just we do our spiel and then after we're done. The partner will go one by one.
Right.
And then that's it, we're good.
Right. And I think the partners, I know I would, as a partner, not as an advisor, but as an advisor, I'd like to get into some detailed working plans. But as a partner coming in and doing that report and connecting, it's not just the partners connecting with you, it's the partners
With each
connecting with each other too. And so I think that's a very useful thing, because I mean, that's how I was aware of. That's the only way I was aware of stuff going on the Department of Ag, and yet that's an important partner to us.
Yeah. Cause I felt the meeting was, we were like just bouncing.
Well, you
And then
got
Mario keeps chiming in and every time one of our people talks, she wants to be a part, she hijacks it and.
well, her whole thing is she's building her
Yeah,
local capital with this whole veterans movement, being the Ag Lincoln. Don't get dragged into it. And I mean,
you know, I told them, you guys better deal with that. We're not dealing with.
is she their secretary? Is she the one that's the secretary for them?
She's the one that calls the.
We do need to establish, I mean, if we do this thing about the roles of the positions, it's really needed in the north to know what these roles are.
Oh,
So I'm all for that. If we could get a thing and just, do y'all have a date y'all would like to meet in terms of, y'all set up for kind of date? Are they talking Tuesdays or Thursdays, or did y'all give an idea of when we might think about that?
was it Tuesday, right?
We did have one, I remember.
So before y'all go, I know it's time to adjourn, but before y'all go, maybe you want to go ahead and tentatively as a group, you guys think of when would you like to do it on Tuesday, the 7th or Tuesday, the 14th?
You're talking January.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking at February.
Yeah.
I'm talking January. Yeah, let's go back again. Let me pull it up. Why did I get the? Yeah, January 3rd, is that That's the first, that's too soon.
That's,
Yeah. and
What's
I
the-
have fact check on that. Question.
How about the tenth, though, Tuesday the tenth?
Yeah, but that Tuesday, the tenth, I think
The
is
16th
the
is the-
northern meeting, right?
The 16th is a holiday. January 16th is a holiday.
That's Martin Luther King.
And what is our co-op meeting again? It's also Tuesday, right?
Oh, then why don't y'all look at a Thursday? Why not do the
Yeah.
Thursday, Thursday, the twelfth? How about that? What am I doing here?
when are we gonna have our next meeting?
For our board, our regular board meeting, right? So we should decide that before, let's do that though. You guys, what are we set for? Do you have a?
Are y'all looking at Wednesday? I'm putting the guys, next semester, I'm teaching Wednesday nights, so I will not be around on Mondays and Wednesdays.
So Tuesdays,
Well, until 6 at least, I think.
What are you teaching? You can do ag economics better.
Well, yeah, now I've got it. Now I am now taking the course that Mari and Prim came up with. I've got to teach it. It's with Romina. It's going to be, and she's only going to do a fourth of it. It's going to be technologies for sustainable agriculture. It's going to be a very soil and water, farm planning, soil and water, grow some kind of crop. Because we don't have any courses that force the students to grow something. So it's gonna be writing a farm and it's gonna be writing it's gonna be kind of like I was teaching at the farm management.
So what if we-
It's gonna be focused on
The
soil and
10th
water.
for
practices,
us,
and that's
what
why
do you want for the partners?
actually will be.
Oh, us
It'll be-
Yeah.
It'll be the new farmer curriculum.
Because that would be- I don't know.
That's on Monday, the last
Because we-
is on Monday and lecture on the evening. I think I go up to 6.
We can do the rivers either way.
Tuesday,
Tuesday, January 10th, Tuesday, January 24th. And whichever
do
we.
we have enough time from now to announce our meeting though? Yeah, right?
You should, yeah.
yeah.
For me, the earlier you guys do some of this stuff, the better, I think. But-
Well, yeah, February is gonna be.
So what time y'all gonna keep meeting at 4?
We're trying to look at, 4 o'clock is good,
Yeah,
right?
it helps me because I get out of class.
When do you start school, the third or fourth?
Well, the third, I have a professional development. So I go back on the third, so.
You're teaching,
Yeah, still teaching.
so, okay, 4 o'clock. The 10th. Is that what, did y'all say the 10th?
That's what we're thinking, right?
Yeah,
Sort of.
and then if we need to change the date, then we still have extra
Yeah,
days,
so-
3 months to change it to.
Right, there's, a lot more.
So tentatively. that.
And this is for our partners meeting?
That's for your.
For
The
both?
partner will be the following, or the 20. Did we say the 20?
The
Yeah,
24th, yes.
at least those are the tentative
Okay.
dates, right? Where's my pen?
Yes. Oh,
Oh.
was
Do I
that?
have your pen?
In that step, you want to have on the agenda that OG.
It looked its way down here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
there you go. Between now and then, should probably be doing some discussions yeah, y'all could, you might start talking just to get a feel from the north what they want to do with the GACD.
Okay.
I can just ask Joe to meet. And we'll talk about that, just.
I don't think Joe and the other guys have a problem with it. It's just like you said, if you've got ethical. I've always wondered about that huge amount of money, and maybe just don't depend
The
on.
problem with Joe, with the GACD, he thinks it's perfectly legit and in all the laws and all that we have established. But I asked him several times to give me the documents, right, so I can read it. And he has never produced it, but he's totally like, it's good,
Yeah,
and we should just keep going, but. I said, Joe, show me what it says, and I'll agree with you.
Well, we can bring it up.
if
right?
it wasn't taking money from the appropriated funds to go to the nonprofit, I don't see where there would be any problem. Even though it is a board, if you're working on it as a nonprofit, it's a nonprofit for you guys to do the duties of this group, but in the outside funds. The problem is when you're taking appropriated funds and you're.
No, I understand, but remember what I said, it specifically says. serving on one board and then serving that other nonprofit board that directly
The conflict of
related to the task of the government.
Yeah.
You know, that's the conflict there. That we
So,
have to
yeah,
get
well, so,
the hurdle.
yeah, so two different ways is one to get an exception made in this case and note how it's done nationally.
Yeah.
And that there's a reason for it.
Well, so would it be based on your last statement, then we would be fine to be directors on this board? But we could be in GACD, but just not be on the board.
But then who's gonna be the
That's
board?
where we would have to look at having people that can serve.
And then, you
That
know,
might be, maybe,
Yeah,
maybe that would be where your partners join in with you and, yeah.
And let them be. the
that
board.
might be,
That might be the way,
But-
maybe the
but-
directors.
Yeah,
but to get them to serve on that board thing, that's gonna be the.
well, they got us to serve on this board. I was like, hey, you were like, hey, what's this, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, we're still, we're gonna be, might potentially lose one and we're gonna be hunting for that. Remember, we were one short too, and we did, it took us all that 3 years to get.
All right, guys, I got a boogie on.
All right, let's move, while we're still, well, that's settled
That's it.
then.
That's it, yeah, well, at least.
Move
Yeah.
to adjourn.
we got more to-
All in favor?